Hey everybody, this is Carl. Welcome to Carl's Opinion. And this is our Thursday night, late night, live call-in show. So hey everybody, we're going to have the great dirtbag joining us in a little bit here on a VMix video call. I'm going to cover a couple of videos that are pertinent to tonight's topic. You see here, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, Beto O'Rourke is not taking my guns, Democrat from the state of West Virginia. Basically, he is kind of he's in a state that I think voted for Trump by like 30 points in 2016, but he's a liberal. He's a liberal Democrat. He's been a liberal Democrat his whole life, but he's kind of stuck because he needs the Trump supporters to win an election, and he just ran for election in 2018. Now, 2018 was kind of interesting. If you remember how that went down. That was the Kavanaugh vote was right before the election in 2018, and they needed Manchin's vote. So, and they weren't sure if Manchin was going to go along with it. So Trump actually went down there and did a campaign rally for the Republican running against him. You know, again, Manchin's the Democrat, and he's running, and so Trump did the campaign rally for the Republican running against Manchin, and it was a pretty good rally, and a lot of people showed up, and it got Manchin's attention. And then suddenly there was no problem with Manchin voting for Kavanaugh. And then after that, Trump never went back to West Virginia to campaign for the Republican again. So obviously there was a deal worked out there. Manchin got a lot of shit from the left. But Schumer had given permission to Democrats running in red states to do what they had to do. I mean, Schumer's not an idiot. He wanted the numbers in the Senate, and he gave permission. He said, "Look, you know, I'm not going to take anybody's committee assignments away. I'm not going to, do anything stupid." And he knew Manchin. I mean, if Manchin voted against Kavanaugh, that was the end of Manchin. Manchin was going to lose to the Republican. The Republican wasn't that strong of a candidate either, but he would have lost. It would have been, Trump would have gone back down there and done a rally, once a day, right up until the day of the vote of the election day. So, Manchin, he had a place in politics, and he voted for Kavanaugh, but he also voted for Gorsuch. So, he's done what he's had to do. I know pro-life Americans said he's a hypocrite. Yeah, he does waver on the abortion issue, that's for sure. But in West Virginia, my guess would be the gun issue is a bigger issue in West Virginia than the abortion issue is, unfortunately. It'd be nice if they're both equally as strong, but Manchin knows for sure the gun issue is huge in West Virginia, and there's no way he could have let that comment from Beto O'Rourke sit out there without saying something to his constituents, because his constituents would have been, throwing high holy hell over that. Now, he's not up for re-election again until 2024, so he's pretty safe for a while. But he lives in a state that it's gun city, and there's no way he could have let O'Rourke off the hook. Now, the big thing about what's going on now, we've heard about the slippery slope, and a year ago, Tucker Carlson interviewed Swalwell, the idiot you saw at the Lewandowski hearing. And also, he's the guy who was the first to drop out of the Democratic, being a Democratic contender for the Democratic primary for the nomination. And yeah, he was kind of an idiot. He did a video showing him helping his wife change the diapers of the kids. Like he's such a feminist, such a I don't know what. But anyway, he never got a lot of traction. He never was going to get a lot of traction. He's always been kind of stupid, not a very bright guy. And he says, "Oh, I was a prosecutor." My guess is he was like a deputy DA for a few years before he got into politics and ran for office. But I never thought he was great dirtbag. I've not already played the clips. I just started actually about like 2 minutes ago. I just started at 1 a.m. your time. So I'm going to play a couple of clips right now. So then we'll bring the great dirtbag in. But let me go ahead and first I'm going to play Tucker Carlson's interview again with Swalwell from last year, October of last year, and kind of show how the slippery slope has changed from, you're not going to take your guns, but if we're going to do a voluntary buyback, but if you don't give them back, you could be prosecuted if you get arrested with them. And you should keep your gun in a gun club, not knowing what the whole idea about the Second Amendment was to begin with. Remember, let's go ahead and play that. Let's take a look here. And where are we? There we go. All right, so here's Tucker Carlson interviewing Congressman Swalwell about a year ago. And you'll see how this changes to what is actually going on now. It doesn't change a lot, but changes just enough.
And I trust the American people are law-abiding, that their weapons could be bought back, or keep them in a gun club. You don't have to give it up.
But what if you want to keep them in your home, and you've done nothing wrong,
Yeah.
you haven't hurt anybody, and now you just made them into felons?
Yeah, no, there's no troop roundup here, Tucker.
No, but you just made them into felons. You just said that in the piece. Look, I'm not I'm not making this up, but you wrote that. So what do you think? Like, if I'm a gun owner and I have one of the weapons that you say should be banned, and I don't feel like bringing it to a gun club, I feel like keeping it in my bedroom closet.
I don't think you're giving the American people enough credit that they'd be law-abiding and that they would
obey you.
Well, not
or else
obey.
they'd be criminally prosecuted.
No, I'm suggesting we have a conversation in Congress and pass a ban like this. They would be obeying the law.
Would you apply as written by you?
Yeah, it would have to be passed by.
Would you apply these standards to yourself and your fellow members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
not cops though. I don't think cops should be outgunned.
So your bodyguards could have any kind of guns.
I don't have bodyguards,
yes,
Tucker.
You do. I was there today.
No,
you have many body.
I don't have bodyguards.
I was just there today.
I don't personally have bodyguards.
Oh, but you're surrounded by them.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by bodyguards that I pay for, and
they're police officers. They're sworn. They're trained.
They're there to protect you. They're
and they shouldn't be outgunned. And that's the problem. I have two brothers who are cops.
Hold on.
My dad was a cop. They're outgunned
But your
right now.
bodyguards would get to have any kind of gun they want to protect you, but I wouldn't have.
I don't want them to protect me. I want them to protect the people who are getting shot up in the schools.
But that's not. No, Capitol Police exists to protect you.
No, this isn't about Capitol Police.
Well, no, but it is though.
It's not the kids who are dying, Tucker.
It's about me
in
and
their
my
schools. They're afraid to go to school tomorrow. They hear a book drop.
No, but hold on.
They think a shooter's walking into the classroom. Don't they deserve to be protected?
They do, and
so
my
let's protect them.
Amen. But
why do you need an AR-15?
I don't know why you need
to protect
one.
your house.
You have them in your building where you work.
Police officers.
No, your bodyguards.
Don't denigrate the cops.
I'm not
Tucker.
denigrating them.
They work hard.
I'm glad they're there.
Yeah, it's a typical tactic by the left. They say, if you say, oh, they're your bodyguards, oh, don't denigrate the cops. Yeah, Tucker Carlson, the last person to denigrate the cops. You know, this is just nonsense. In other words, he's saying, look, the cops that protect you, they have AR-15s, they have semi-automatic weapons. How come I can't have a semi-automatic weapon in my house? How come my wife can't have one? And sadly speaking, that, it wasn't about 6 months later where, people showed up at Tucker Carlson's house while he was at work, while his show was live. That's why they went there at that particular time because, obviously he's on live and they know he's not at home. So they went over to his house, the cowards they are, knowing that at best maybe his wife was there alone. And they were harassing her. And he's saying, hey, how come my wife can't have a weapon like that in her house to protect her when you have those people surround you with those same kind of weapons? So nobody denigrating law enforcement, but they are his bodyguards. And he goes, the Capitol Police are there to protect America. No, they're not. They're there to protect the Congress people, the senators and the congressmen and women and their staff. They're not there to protect the American people, okay? They have, metal detectors to keep, that the American people have to walk through and do a pat-down on. They're not protecting us if we go visit the Senate or the Congress, the House of Representatives. They're there to protect these guys. So he's saying, hey, look, I just want to be able to have the same, weaponry that your bodyguards have, and they are his bodyguards. They do protect him, and that's just the truth of it. So anyway, here we go.
Shouldn't be outgunned, and they're outgunned right now.
Wait a second.
I went to the funeral for 4 police officers who were killed by an assault weapon.
You don't actually care more than I do. We care the same. So it's not a question of who cares.
Do you think cops should have guns?
I think that your bodyguards should have the same guns that I have to protect my family.
They're America's bodyguards, Tucker.
They're not. They're
Don't
yours.
denigrate them like that.
I'm not denigrating them.
They work too
really?
hard.
Can they come to my house and protect my wife while I'm at work?
If you call the police, yeah.
Oh, but can I have a Capitol Hill? When you go to work, they hang out and protect you.
They're protecting the constituents.
No, they're protecting you, actually.
I don't have
So why not?
Tucker.
Hold on. Why shouldn't my wife have the same firearm at home that your bodyguards use to protect you? Is that fair or is that unfair? Why is it unfair?
That's a ridiculous argument.
Oh, why?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous? Because you're more important than me?
No, I don't. You are trying to.
No, I'm asking a sincere question. Why should you get to protect yourself?
Our cops should not be outgunned.
No,
period.
I'm talking not our cops.
Our military shouldn't be outgunned.
No, your cops.
Period.
Capitol Hill Police have. Why don't we just limit them to the same gun I can have at home?
Why can't we have a real conversation about this?
This is a real conversation. Why is it nonsense? You're putting your life above my family.
You're calling cops bodyguards, and that's disrespectful to them.
I'm not calling all cops
Police Week was last week. They were all here in town honoring the fallen, and you're calling them bodyguards.
No, I'm calling your
bodyguards. My dad was a cop. He's not a bodyguard.
No.
He protects people. And that's ridiculous.
Do members of Congress have bodyguards? I notice whenever I see...
You're calling a cop a bodyguard? Man, that is so disrespectful.
They are.
No.
And
they're sworn police officers.
Pays for them.
They
I was in the Capitol
and your
today.
Kids.
No, they're in your
and
office.
Our families.
Can I get the same in my office?
They shouldn't be outgunned.
Taxpayers can pay for it?
They shouldn't be outgunned. They're outgunned today.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I walk down the hallway in front of your office, you have officers there paid for by taxpayers. Great guys. I'm not attacking them, obviously, and I think they watch this channel. Thank you for that. They're not at all. I'm merely saying that you have better protection than I do. And you're saying that my family doesn't deserve to have a certain species of weapon. You get to decide what we can protect ourselves with, but you're not going to in any way take the ability to protect you away from the Capitol Hill Police.
I'm saying that every police officer in America today is outgunned. For their safety and for the safety of the people they protect, we shouldn't have assault weapons.
Right. You just don't want to apply the rules to yourself. I get it. I wouldn't either.
Yeah, and then you see Tucker pretty much, let him know, like, he said, the liberals always try to say, "Oh, you're denigrating the cops." We're the last people who denigrate the cops. Okay, they're the ones who denigrate the cops. They're the ones who say the cops use, too much force on the citizenry and go around trying to kill people and beat people up and crap like that. That's what the left always says. Okay, we're the ones always, on the side of the cops, protecting the cops. The left is doing that. He's not denigrating anybody. He says those cops are there to protect him. Capitol Police are there to protect the staff and the Congress, the House of Representative members, and the senators. They're not there to protect us if you walk in there. No, they're there to protect these guys. And these guys have guys with guns surrounding them to protect them from us. And Tucker's just saying, well, if I walk down the hallway of my office, I don't have these guys. Can I get some guys with guns walking, in the hallway of my office building here? That'd be kind of nice, and the taxpayers can pay for it. No. So, just ludicrous. So anyway, so it went from that argument a year ago that, oh, just put the guns in a gun club and we're not going to come banging on your door, but if the cops come in and arrest you and you happen to have a gun, then you're a felon and we're going to make you one. And then, of course, here's Beto O'Rourke with his wonderful performance at the debate just last week. So let's see the transformation from one year to the next.
Time, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
And there you go. All right, so let's see here. Oh, wrong one. Let's get, there we go. All righty, here I am. Okay, so what you saw, there was a little transformation there, and let me go and get Mr. The Great Dirtbag over here. We'll send him out his email. Okay, here we go. All right, so the Great Dirtbag emails on the way. There we go. All right, so the link is on the way from Mr. Dirtbag, and in fact, let's get him all set up in here over here. So let's go. So we can be ready to go here. Here we go. Audio, good. Boom. So when he comes in, we'll see him, and there he'll be. Yay! And his audio is on. So anyway, in the meantime, though, we'll cover this story right here. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, Beto O'Rourke not taking my guns. So that's important. So let's go ahead and take a look at this story. All right. So Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, Beto O'Rourke is not taking my guns. And this is by Jessica Chasmer of the Washington Times. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin said Wednesday that Beto O'Rourke isn't coming anywhere near his guns. So let's shorten this up a little bit here. There we go. Let's see.
Carl, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. All right. There you go.
Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, guys? What's up, everybody?
All right, make sure we're all good here. Hearing something on, some kind of an echo going on here. It might just be in my headset.
Can everybody see me okay?
Yeah, we can see. I can see you up on YouTube, actually.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so you're good to go.
Awesome.
All right.
You know
what? I think you had your YouTube on when you first came in. That I was hearing me coming back at myself. That's all. So I think we're good to go. Yeah, but hey, man, how you doing?
Good. Everything's good. I'm happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
I always love to come on. I always love to come on your show, Carl, whenever I get the chance.
Oh, definitely.
I'll tell you, it's Carl, what's interesting. With a lot of this gun talk, right? I echoed a meme the other day, and it was funny because it showed a van. It said gun confiscation. It was riddled with bullet holes, right? Those stickers that they put on, like the fake stickers.
Right.
And it's been echoing all through Parler. But here's the thing that people got to take away from this, right? The increase in gun sales, you can't find anything about it on Google. You type in gun sales increasing or gun sales skyrocketing or any kind of seeing where the data is at for gun sales, you can't find anything. And we all know that gun sales are going up big time. I mean, it kind of leaves the question, Carl, like, with Joe Manchin's kind of, who was it today that I saw that called Joe Manchin a Democrat in name only?
Oh, Joe Manchin. Yeah, that's the story I got up right now.
Yeah, Joe Manchin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got that story up right now.
He said Beto's not going to take my guns, and then one of his staffers came out and said, Joe, you don't have any of this stuff. And I'm like, well, how does a staffer know what Joe Manchin has? I mean,
right.
I mean, did you see that political ad that he did a while back when he during the 2018 midterms, where he shooting a rifle or he's shooting a hunting rifle at some target?
No, I didn't see that.
Now he, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of these Democrats anymore. I mean, their intentions are clear. I don't know what more. Carl, that friend of mine.
Well, Manchin. Look. Manchin knows if he votes on anything that's too crazy on gun control, well, 2024 he better plan on retiring because he's in West Virginia. I mean, Jesus. I mean, that's like West Virginia is like my town. I mean, it's not going to happen. He's not going to get reelected. He'll get primaried and get even if he might get primaried by Democrat or he might just lose in the general.
Speaking of primary Democrats, I posted a thing on my wall in Parler the other day, and it's gotten some response where I was using this to show people that there's I forget where the guy's name is, but he's a moderate Democrat in Texas. It's a very heavy conservative area from what I understand, but these progressives are primarying these moderate Democrats. They're trying to get people that are going to do the group think, in these districts where these moderate Democrats and conservative Republicans are at. I mean, the progressives are literally fighting a war on two fronts. They're fighting a war trying to get the moderates out, and they're also trying to take over areas where the conservative Republicans hold.
Right.
Because what you're seeing, there was also another thing about gun control that I posted on my wall in Parler, where an amendment is going to be on the 2020 ballot in Florida. Something about banning semi-automatic rifles. And one of the things they're going to be doing, people got to be paying attention to this, is what they're going to do they're going to start passing amendments in the 2020 in the midterms for 2020, where you know how it is, Carl. They throw a couple of good things on a ballot. They'll take one ballot and they'll break up like four things, right, in one ballot.
Right. Yeah.
And they're probably gonna what I've been seeing is that they're gonna start putting things like banning certain semi-automatic rifles, like the Armalite rifle, the 30-round capacity magazines, the rifles
right.
like an old 20, 25, 15. And people have got to pay attention to these things being passed on their ballots, because they're going to throw a couple of good things in there, and then they're going to put those gun control amendments in the legislation that they want to get passed. So when you're voting on amendments, you have got to pay attention, and anything that has gun control, any kind of gun control agenda, you have got to vote no on it. I mean, this is crazy, Carl. This is where we're at. I mean, this is 2016 all over again. I mean, if the Civil War, it's like Cory Booker the other day. I don't know if you saw some on the Next News Network where he said, "Oh, we're going to seize your guns."
Right.
They can't. They can't do any damage control. Beto O'Rourke has let a cat out of the bag that they're not going to be able to put back in.
Oh yeah, the people on the left that were pissed off at him weren't pissed off because he was telling it like it was. They were pissed off that he spilled the beans. That he was. They weren't pissed like, oh no, we're not for that. But they just said, oh, there's no bill like that in the House right now. Well, right now, but if they get elected, if they take the White House and they keep the House and they take the Senate, and then they do a nuclear option, they say, oh, we have to do a nuclear option. They just need 51 votes. Yeah, they're going to pass all kinds of laws, and you'll have to go to the Supreme Court to fight them, and they may or may not get upheld. I mean, yeah, these people are definitely they look. They know the kind of people like us that own firearms primarily, and they want guns out of our hands. Okay, they don't want us having any power or control over our own lives. They want us totally dependent upon them. They want us like in London, England, where you have to live in fear, and then people just go around stabbing each other. I saw a story today. I was watching Tucker, and he was doing a gun control debate with this idiot, and he goes, And you heard the story. He covered the story of a 9-year-old kid that was executed because this one gang wanted to kill this 9-year-old kid because he was the son of this other gangbanger from his other gang, and they had accidentally killed like one of their kids. So they were going to, kill his kid to show him what it's like. And so they let him, they bought him a juice box and stuff. They made it seem like they were his friend. Took him to an alley. Then they shot him. And the guy goes, "Well, if it wasn't for guns, that kid would be alive." It's like, well, no, three guys in an alley. If anything, the gun is probably what got him caught because it made a noise. 3 guys in an alley, they could have easily just stabbed him to death and left him there. And they didn't need a gun to kill this guy. So, I mean, it's just, ridiculous arguments. So London had a higher murder rate at one point than New York City just recently, and it had nothing to do with guns. It was like people using knives and acid and swords, and, anything they get their hands on. So, guns don't cause people to be violent. Violent people are just violent. They're going to find a way. Hell, that asshole in Charlottesville that ran over that girl with the Challenger, the Dodge Challenger. We're going to ban cars now? I mean, come on. I mean, enough's enough already. So, it's not the gun. It's not an inanimate object that does the harm. It's the person, okay?
Yeah. I was, there was a, it's funny, and speaking of gangs, why are Democrats so opposed to putting see, here's the thing about Trump and doing this, and him taking control of these red flag laws, right? And I wish these YouTubers who claim to be conservative would stop making videos about, well, I'm not going to support Trump, or I'm watching what Trump is doing.
It drives me nuts.
I'm sorry.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, it does. And I know it's a topic for another discussion, but here's the thing. If you look at what they're doing right now, I read a story in the Washington Examiner about how the Democrats don't want any kind of amendment to red flag criminals who are on the police list for gang members. They don't want any of those red flag laws to apply to them.
I covered it on one of my live streams, but you weren't on that night. Right? They tried putting they tried putting an amendment through that anybody that's on a gang watch list, gang member watch list with the local police department, and that there is probable cause to believe he's a gang member would be on the red flag list. So Swalwell was one of the guys we just saw. Swalwell says, "Well, that's not good because sometimes the police lists are wrong." And he goes, "Well, I mean, you were talking last year. You wanted 2 years ago. You wanted to do a no-fly list. You wanted to be on, you couldn't buy a gun." He goes, so then Swalwell said to him, he goes, "Well, okay, but only if we put white nationalists on the list." And so I forgot who the congressman was. And so he called his bluff, and he goes, "Okay, deal." He goes, "As long as we put all extremist identity groups on the list, everybody, black identity extremists, La Raza, everybody." He goes, "I'll do it. Let's do it." And then Swalwell was like, "Oh shit," he called my bluff. So then, of course, it didn't get done. So so then the one congressman says, "Okay, you're full of shit." He goes, all this bullshit about the no-fly list, and you wanted to you sat in on this no-fly list, and I'm trying to do gang, so don't even try about this red flag stuff because we know you're just full of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is why. See, look, if people look at what Trump is doing, everything Trump is doing is 4D chess. It is 4D chess. It is because, again, if these YouTubers would just, again, I'm sorry, Carl, forgive me for mentioning it again, but I wish these people would just stop making videos about, with supporting Trump. I mean, these gun owner, like these channels that talk about guns and all that, they drive me nuts with this. I wish they'd stop doing it. But again, their First Amendment right, they have a right. But
well, no. What they're saying is they say, well, gee, if Trump signs any kind of gun control legislation, well, we're not going to vote for him. So I'm assuming they're not going to vote for the Democrat unless they're just psychotic. So that means they're going to stay home. But if you stay home, that's a vote for the Democrat. So if he signs something to appease the gun control mood, the gun control crowd right now. Although, like I said, we have Beto O'Rourke to thank for probably killing any gun control legislation right now, because everybody's now blaming Beto, including the people on the left, including Joe Manchin blaming him. A couple of liberals are blaming him. Trump, of course, blamed him on Twitter. But I mean, if he signs something, and then you have a choice between, okay, either we stay home, we let the Democrat win, which could be a complete fucking disaster, including all the down ticket seats. And so would you rather have? Would you rather have Trump make some kind of an appeasement, some kind of a deal on gun control where it's not like the end of the world, or would you rather let someone like Warren win, or Sanders, or Harris, or Buttigieg get in there, or who the hell knows who else. So I mean, well, Biden. I mean, come on. I mean, as Biden would say, come on, man. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not an option. That's not an option. I mean, look, we're not voting for a clone. We're not voting for a clone. Okay, the guy. It's a representative democracy. The president's not going to do everything you want him to do, but you got to say, okay, which one is doing more of what I want me to do? And when it comes to Trump versus any of the Democrats right now, it's like 90% to 10%. He's doing 90% of what we want him to do, versus the other side would do nothing of what we want him to do. So it's like, okay, so he doesn't do 10% of what we want to do. Yes, I know it's the Second Amendment. Yes, I've owned guns my whole life, and I not just for hunting. Okay, I get it. But if he has to make some kind of a deal, he's going to make some kind of a deal. And if we stay home, the Democrats take over, then I guess they can say, see, we told you so. Yeah, and then 4 years later, after all these laws are passed, and some of them are upheld as constitutional, what are you going to do then? Are we going to all quit our jobs and go run off to the mountains and do something stupid? No, nobody's going to do that. People talk a good game, but who's going to quit their job and go off and run and join something? Nobody. That's who. Yeah. Nobody. You're going to leave your family, your wife, your home, your food, your car, your job, everything. You're going to leave all that behind and go and start something? No, of course not. That's bullshit. We get it's representative democracy. It's a two-party system. You take the best we got, and the best we got right now is Trump. Everything else he's doing is fantastic on every other single issue. And if he has to make some kind of a deal on this, which you may not have to, then you better stick by him. If you don't, you're an idiot. My opinion.
You know what's interesting, Carl? I make posts constantly on Parler. I am uploading videos. I am uploading articles. And my notifications have already turned off. I have them on that I don't get them when people like or echo my stuff. So, which means they didn't like how fast I grew. They don't like right now. Just, I know it's a little off subject, but I shared a video from One American News about a petition to get Gavin Newsom out of office, and it's echoing like crazy in Parler. And
really?
It is echoing crazy. And I've had people post on my wall signed, it's for the people of California because they're the only ones who can sign that petition. So I said, make this aware. If you got family, friends in California, make them aware of this petition, right? So, it's, I forget who it was that started with some group, but I hope that people, because look at the things that, Gavin Newsom is doing, the gun control, the homeless crisis that's going on. I think somebody's saying he's reaching out to Trump to help him with the homeless crisis. I have to go back and see that, but I thought I saw something in my suggestion feed. But I know it was a side thing. But anyway, the only way that I could see any kind of thing like that happening, like where people quit their jobs, is if the economy got so bad. I don't want it to happen. Nobody wants it to happen. I'm hoping we can still at least, we're still at least a civilized, nation to be able to have discussion. But, the thing that we have to be real about too, is that these socialists are not going to give up any kind of stranglehold that they have on any states and on the Democrat Party. The only thing that we can hope for in the Democrat Party right now is the moderates prevail, because if like I said, if the progressives take over, it's going to be much worse. I don't like Pelosi.
The best way to help defeat that is that all these candidates right now are going to the left, right? So then, if they get trounced in 2020, because it's not going to be like, well, gee, they went too moderate, because Biden's not going to get it, so it's going to be Warren, Sanders, or Harris, right? It's going to be one of those three, and they're all going far left. Yeah. So if they get the nomination and they get trounced, kind of like McGovern did in 72 or like Goldwater did in 64, then the party's going to say, okay, see, we told you so. You idiots made us go too far left. You got people like Eric Holder saying, hey, slow down. You got people like David Axelrod saying, whoa, you people are going way too far left. These are guys. Bill Maher. Yeah, Bill Maher saying the same thing, like, oh, you guys insane? You guys, what's wrong with you people? So basically, if they get trounced in 2020, if the far left gets trounced in 2020, then it'll give the moderates a window to say, hey, see, we told you so. We're not following you anymore. Shut up. And then, the squad of four, the gang of four, whatever the hell you call them, the squad, they'll be silenced pretty easy. Pelosi will have a much easier time telling them to shut the hell up. It's like, okay, shut the hell up. Yeah. You just especially if she costs them the House. If she costs them the House and she turns back into, the minority leader, And then they're going to look right at those idiots and say, "See, you did this. This was on you."
Yep.
And then they can try to
Yep.
say, "Oh no, no, no," and everybody in the room's going to know, no, it was on them. You went too far left. You took our party too far left, and you led us right into a ditch. So the best way to do that is to give them a good trouncing in 2020, and that'll hopefully give the corporate Democrats, the moderate Democrats, a little more control over their party, and give Nancy Pelosi, the ability to say, "See, we told you. Look what you did to us." You know
what's funny, Carl? I've actually talked to some Tulsi Gabbard supporters, right, just in my area. And what's interesting, sorry if I'm clearing my throat a lot, I do apologize.
That's okay.
Sorry, my apologies, everybody.
It's okay. You're good.
And some of them are actually starting to see, because I am no fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but the reason why I talk about her is because I really think that even though she's a progressive, she's not an anti-white kind of progressive. She also seems to see where the direction the wind is blowing. And I truly believe that maybe she can actually, again, Carl, we have to look at things as they are, not what we want them to be, but maybe Tulsi Gabbard can bring some sanity back to the party. I made a comment on one of her videos, literally, Tulsi, please bring some sanity back to the Democrat Party, because even she understands what is happening and what's going on. Even that one guy, I forget who it was, but there was that other guy that they kicked out of the primary for saying similar things to what Tulsi was saying. Look, we got to start worrying about middle America. We got to start worrying about, putting people back to work, keeping jobs, doing things. But again, it is the grip that the Soros and his organizations have on the DNC, and they're not going to let that go. Michael Bloomberg is, it's funny because if you look at what these globalists are doing, Bloomberg seems to be attacking the Second Amendment. Soros is controlling the DNC through his groups, influencing policy, getting, trying to weed out, they're still trying to weed out any moderates left. They're spending money on progressives who are primarying moderates and Republicans to get the progressives in their districts. And I mean, I don't know if you got a letter. I've been getting stuff from the NRA nonstop about, they got to raise like some $10 million. But I tell you what, when you call the NRA to get through to the Political Action Committee, the line is busy, which is good because people are active. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good or bad. They don't have enough staff. I don't know, but hopefully it's good that they have tons of staff and everybody's just trying to call in. That would be a positive thing. Because it'd be good to have them out there organizing, letter writing, and stuff like that, getting people out to the polls and stuff. Yeah. That'd be.
Well, important. I know that their donations have quadrupled. I mean, they're bigger now than they ever have been in the past because of literally all the anti-Second Amendment rhetoric. I mean, it would do these globalists. It doesn't do them any good to attack the 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment. They have to attack the 2 amendments that hold our Constitution in place. They are attacking free speech by demonizing anybody who doesn't agree with their opinions,
right?
As we all know. And the Second Amendment is the one that they're actively trying to fight, get rid of, and
right.
We have to adapt to what the tactics of the left. We can't beat them head on. We have to go around what they're doing, kind of like in Independence Day, how they got through the defenses, they got around them,
Wait, hold on. Solex writes, he's writing about gun control in the chat, and he writes, currently at 30 yards, I can hit the bullseye with my bow. At 60 yards, I can kill any rock around the target. Laughing out loud. It's like, that's pretty good.
That's another thing. Yeah. That's another thing too. Crossbows, bows and arrows, they've been selling good too. I mean, BB guns, any kind of anything.
Again, in London, for a short time there, had a higher murder rate per capita than New York City, and that, guns were not used. It was acid and knives, and then the stupid mayor, whatever his name, Sadiq Khan, was going to ban knives or a registry for knives, and again, it's the people that he's a complete idiot. But I mean, it's the people who are violent. The gun is not violent. The knife is not violent. The bow and arrow is not violent. The car is not violent. It's the person operating those devices. So, the whole idea that, you're going to ban guns and get rid of violence in our society. Well, violence in our society goes way deeper than guns. Again, that 9-year-old kid, they could have easily have killed him. They could have strangled him to death. They could have stabbed him. They could have done whatever. And they probably would have not gotten caught. They got caught because they fired a whole bunch of rounds. And my guess is, that those little sound devices they have on the south side of Chicago got the cops there pretty fast, or the neighbors called it in or something. And that's how they got caught. But if they just strangled the kid and left him there for dead and walked away, he probably never would have got caught. So it wasn't the gun that killed him. It was probably the gun that got these people caught. And then they matched it up with ballistics or whatever. Who knows why? They probably still had the stupid thing on them, knowing these idiots. So.
Well, yeah, and they also, it's like, these. I remember, it's funny. There was a video a while back. I don't know if you remember Peggy Hubbard, that she did that interview with Don Lemon. And I found it pretty easily on YouTube. I'm surprised YouTube didn't take it down. But it's only got like some 250,000 views, I think. Was it on
CNN's live stream?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they take it down.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They didn't.
No. This was 5 years ago.
Oh, but
I
mean,
4 or 5 years ago that they did. Yeah.
But I mean, was it on? I mean, when you went to the YouTube site, was it? I mean, was a channel under was it a CNN video? Like, was it, or did somebody grab it off CNN and then put it on their own site? I think
it was somebody grabbed it off CNN.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But we all saw the interview with Peggy Hubbard, where she was basically calling out BLM for what they were doing, destroying a town that she had grown up in, and she said some pretty hardcore things. And you look at Don Lemon. He was like, interviewing her. He was very respectful to her, and I guess maybe, I don't know why CNN would have aired something like that, back then, if they were trying to push a narrative. I mean, I don't know. CNN is beyond logic anymore, as we all know.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But it goes to show you that, the whole, at one point in time, as we all know, journalism was just, giving you news, kind of like what we're doing now, Carl. We're just giving the facts, and people just, they interpret it how they want to interpret it, And I think that's one of the things about OANN and Newsmax that, I like, because they just give you the news. They don't try to shove it in your face. And the fact that One American News is growing is a good thing, because people are, I don't know how people are finding it. I guess, they have an app. I guess you can get it on if you have cable pack, not.
Yeah, I have an app on my phone. I have an app on my phone for One American News, and I forgot where I have it on. Gee, I had it on the TV. I thought I had it on the TV somewhere. I can't remember, but I thought I had it on the TV. Maybe not, but I definitely have it on my phone for sure. It's on the internet. But yeah, Comcast won't do it. I don't think DirecTV has it unless I buy another package to get it, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember because I watched that Steve Bannon movie, and God, did I watch it on the TV set or did I watch it on my phone? Now, I can't remember. I might have watched it on the laptop or on my phone. I can't remember if I actually watched it on the TV on the DirecTV feed. So, but no, I mean, I like them. They're a little over the top once in a while, but they're getting better. I don't want them to necessarily become like Fox News, but because everybody has a place they need to be, and they're in a good place, and plus they've been getting some shout outs from Donald Trump, so that hasn't hurt at all. They've been they've been getting some good advertisement from him because he's been punching them up and stuff. So
yeah, well, the thing about Fox News, and I'm kind of glad that they backed off trying to go to the left so much. It's like, didn't they give Donna Brazile Tucker Carlson's spot one time, I thought, to see how she would do in ratings, I thought?
No, they brought her in. I don't know if she subbed in for him for one night. But I'm not sure if she subbed in for him one night or not, but I don't think they didn't give her his time slot. What do you mean, like you just cover like one night? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, I thought that they gave her, like, what was it, Hannity, one of their slots to see if
she
they
was
could
on
prop her up
Hannity.
in the ratings.
No, she was on Hannity,
Oh,
and
okay.
Hannity was interviewing her because when they brought her in, they said, okay, you need to interview her because we need to get her some exposure. and they were talking. He goes, "Wow, what are the odds that you and I be working on the same network?" You know, they were laughing about it. You know, so you know, it was like, but you know, Hanley is his own guy, but he's also a company guy. They said, "Hey, you know, you need to put her on your show, and you guys can debate all you want, but you need her on the show. We got to give her some exposure." And he did, and they had a very friendly debate. It was very friendly, and you know, I mean. I think where the sun is going, I think he wants to kind of, in fact, let me pull that story up. I have a story on that, in fact. Let me see if I can grab it real quick, see if I have it up here.
I think Fox News is, people have to, when people watch Fox News, they have to understand that Fox News, I mean, even though we like Fox News, they're still mainstream corporate globalist media, you know, and we have to just kind of, you know, it's like when they were back when the 2018, when they were releasing polls, oh, Democrats are ahead, Democrats are this, Democrats are that, you know, basically doing suppression polls, trying to you
right,
know,
suppress the vote. Right. In other words, yeah,
morality.
yeah. A lot of people don't know what suppression poll is. A suppression poll is that they make it seem like you're going to lose so badly that don't even go show up, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like all those polls there before were saying, oh, Trump's going to lose, he's going to lose by a lot, so don't bother even showing up. And then it turns out, you know, thank God nobody listened to him, and we all went out to vote. I mean, I was going to go out to vote anyway. I went out to vote thinking he was going to lose. I'm like, well, he's going to lose. That's a good. Yeah. But I said I'm definitely voting for the guy. I'm definitely get my vote counted. And a lot of people probably voted for him thinking the same thing, like, oh shit, he's probably going to lose, you know, because I mean, you just get inundated with it, and I wasn't seeing any positive polling coming the other way. But I think a lot of people were lying to the pollsters, and I'll say it again. I think there was a lot of lying going on by a lot of black male voters to the pollsters. They're saying, "Oh yeah, Trump sucks. I'm not voting for him." And I'm sorry, there was no way he took North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Michigan without the black vote. Michigan, Detroit, Lansing, Wisconsin, Madison, and Milwaukee, North Carolina, Charlotte. I'm sorry, there was a lot of hidden, quiet. I'm sure that's funny. There's probably like 4 or 5 guys sitting around, and like probably 3 of them voted for Trump, and none of them know the other guy voted for Trump. You know, because nobody's telling anybody. But there was no way he took those states. That he was so far down in the polls on all those states. There's no way he quote unquote came back and won. He didn't come back and win anything. He just that these guys lied to the pollsters because they didn't know who these pollsters were. They're like, fuck that, I'm not telling the truth. And because North Carolina, they even lied to the exit polls. Do you remember the exit polls had Hillary Clinton way ahead in North Carolina? That's when they showed the scene with her hugging Bill in Chelsea. Remember that scene? I saw that scene. I was in Vegas picking up some suits, and they had the TV on, and I'm like, oh shit. And they said exit polls show Hillary's going to take North Carolina because they lied to the freaking exit. They even lied on the way out. Well, they probably were walking out with their girlfriends or their friends, right, when they were voting. these black guys. So they're like, oh, who'd you vote for? Oh, Hillary. Yay, Hillary, go Hillary, woohoo! And then they, oh shoot, shit, Then they get home and all of a sudden like, it's like shit. Trump wins North Carolina. It's like, well, wait, how did that happen? Well, because a lot of black guys lied to the pollsters. That's how it happened. Period.
Did you see the Revolt Summit that T.I. and Candace Owens, Katrina Pierce?
No, I was gonna watch. No, I didn't watch that. I watched several different versions. People talking about it. I watched Anthony Bryan Logan talk about it. I watched Roland Martin. I watched him. His take on it.
I can't. Roland Martin.
No. I watched him, so I'm not in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh,
yeah. I don't want to be in the bubble. So I watch. Yeah, I mean, I'm subscribed. Well, I'm subscribed to the Washington Post, Washington Times, Washington Examiner, Wall Street Journal, but Washington Post from the No Bubble. That's my No Bubble newspaper. And then like CNN, I'm subscribed to them. ABC, subscribed to them. I'm not subscribed to MSNBC. I can't go that far. Sorry, that's a bridge too far for me. Can't do it. So, but I watched that, and plus I watched MSNBC on TV. And because I just want to see what they're covering and what they're not covering, because that's important too. You have to do that, and then that's why I'm able to say, "Oh, this is what the left is talking about." But I don't want to get like them. We think we have we have the answer. We think we know it all. We think we're like the truth. We have the truth, and that's it. And that it's not our opinion, but it's a fact, and that's it. Then we're no better than they are, and then we're gonna end up in the same problem they're having right now, where they think the country's behind them confiscating firearms. Well, the country's not. Yeah. Well, Beto thinks that because everybody's cheering for him at the damn debate. Well, sorry, but that's not the American people. That's a group of very partisan, hyper-partisan people who go to those debates. That's not the whole country. But they think that, and the people in the press think that. So You know, you can watch me watch Brian Williams or God forbid, Lawrence O'Donnell or Rachel Maddow. The stories they cover and the way they talk about Trump and everything. You can tell they're just, they were totally shocked when Mueller's report came out. They were totally even more shocked when Mueller testified because they lived this dream in their own head for 2 years. And they never stepped out their own little box and heard the other side. So no, I think it's important. Well, actually, most conservatives I think I brought this up the one night. Liberals, 90 was it 90 or 95% of the news liberals get is from liberal sources, right? So they're in the bubble.
Yeah.
Moderates are 60-40, 60 liberal news outlets, 40% conservative outlets, which makes sense because they're more liberal outlets than there are conservative. And even conservatives we do on the average 70% conservative outlets, but yet we still do 30% liberal outlets, news outlets, whether it's a newspaper or online or TV. So we're the moderates are obviously the least in the bubble, but we're like the second least. And actually, that's not a bad ratio, 70-30. That's pretty good. That's not bad either. So we're pretty well rounded.
Most of the moderate Democrats, like the ones that get their news 60% liberal, 40% conservative, a vast majority of that 40% news that they look at is based on economics and what policies are being passed to, like tax policies and just seeing what job numbers are, that kind of thing.
That could be,
Yeah, I mean, that's just because I know moderates that I talk to, like say for example, like moderates I know that voted for Trump was simply because of the fact that a lot of these moderates, like the ones that I've spoken to, they don't want socialism. That's why they voted Trump in 2016 because they don't want they like having a paycheck and they like having food on the table and they like not losing their money to bureaucrats in Washington. I mean, that's most of your corporate Democrats are probably Trump's probably gonna get the corporate Democrat vote in 2020 by, it's hard to tell by how much, but I think he's going to get a good majority of it, a good part of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you if say Warren gets the nomination, she's talking $3.5 trillion. I'm sorry, so crazy, $3.5 trillion per year for Medicare for all, and the unions. I mean, you're probably gonna have a lot of union members jump ship too. Healthcare. See, we missed it in 2018. We missed how important healthcare was to the American people. Well, okay, hopefully we get it now, and we're making some inroads in that. But the Democrats make the same mistake we made in 2018 and think, oh, people are going to be happy with this Medicare for all. Well, there's a lot of union members, construction workers, iron workers, firefighters union, a lot of trade unions, that have great health care packages, and they don't want to give those up. And again, they're not going to get the salary back that they gave up to get the health care package. That's not going to come back to them. They know it. So I think if you get like a Warren gets the nomination, or a Sanders, or even Harris, who's talking Medicare for all also, was she saying, well, I might give some choice. Well, I mean, they're going to tear her apart because she changed positions like 3 times already. So they're going to say, oh, no, we don't trust her. She's going to try to take our health insurance. So if they go, like, say, Warren gets the nomination, I think you're going to see a lot of union members jumping ship. I can't see how they don't.
I think the only people I think that can take away the moderate votes and even the Rust Belt votes from Trump would be either Biden, Warren,
well, I don't know about
possibly
Warren.
Bernie Sanders.
I disagree. I disagree. Just for the point I just made was that the Rust Belt, you have a lot of union workers. You have a lot of union workers in the Rust Belt. So steel workers and stuff. And again, they negotiated. The steel workers union. They negotiated the coal workers, employees, coal miners. They negotiated to give up a couple bucks an hour in salary and wages for those health insurance packages. And let's be honest, a lot of these guys they're family men. They're married. They have kids, and that health insurance is real important. Yeah. And then suddenly you got to say you have to go to this Medicare for all shit. Then they're going to be worried about their wife, and when the wife gets pregnant, there's a complication. The kids need this, they need that. They're going to be. Medicare for all is going to take away your union health insurance. I think if they hammer that home, she's going to have a hard time picking up the Rust Belt.
I lost you there for a second. I don't know what happened. Yeah, no, I mean, No, it's all good. It's all good. But the, and all, I mean, yeah, no, I can see your point about Warren. Yeah, that's true. But I think Biden, Tulsi Gabbard. Well, I don't know about Tulsi, but she's not even somebody because she doesn't have a chance.
No,
because they kicked her out of the primary. But it's hard. If I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to get the nomination because even though everybody said, oh, I saw a thing today. Well, he raised $1 million. He's getting a lot of small donations. Well, Trump's done over $1 billion. I mean, how can you say Bernie Sanders has the steam today that he had 4 years ago? Because for those who are listening, and the cheap seats, Bernie Sanders is not the same person 2016 as Bernie Sanders today. If Bernie Sanders, I mean, again, I've never been a Bernie supporter, but if Bernie Sanders were to get the White House today, it would be just as bad as if Kamala Harris got in, or if Warren got in, or any of these progressives got in. I mean, can you imagine Beto getting in? He'd be just like Justin Trudeau out of Canada. I mean, he'd be. I mean, I know I laugh, Carl, and it's scary stuff, but I just can't. I never would have believed that we would be seeing the level of ignorance and I won't say stupidity, forgive me, but ignorance and so uninformed. How I just didn't think it was this bad.
Well,
and
yeah, I know.
I've only been.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of low information voters out there. I mean, unfortunately, there just is, and it's a real shame too, because Jefferson. What did he say? Jefferson said, "An uneducated population is the greatest threat to a democracy," meaning that they can be easily led. They don't think about the issues. Some idiot can say something stupid. They go, "Oh, that sounds good." Oh, that sounds good. Oh, okay. I'm. They'll hear one speech. It goes, "Okay, I'm supporting you now." One little speech or something. It's like, wait a second, that democracy doesn't thrive in a situation like that when you have a lot of stupid people voting. Democracy dies in situations like that. Then people appeal to the lowest common denominator, just bumper sticker slogans and that kind of shit, and that's really sad. But I don't know what to do about it. There are so many people who just don't. There are so many people who are not interested in the election right now. There's so many people who aren't following it. There are so many people who aren't even thinking about participating in it. Not until the primary starts, and then there's a lot of people until it comes to their state, they don't even pay attention either. And that's crazy for me. I have a hard time with that concept.
Yeah, and it's see, like people in the chat, right? You and me, people in the chat, and it's the same thing when you look at a video, right? A video of somebody who has 200,000 subscribers, and I'll show how this emphasizes my point. Somebody has 200,000 subscribers, but then they only got like maybe 2,000 comments, right? Those 2,000 comments are the ones that are more engaged with politics than the ones who just watch and don't leave a comment.
Right. That's true.
And I remember a time, Carl, when I myself said, look, I don't get involved with politics, I don't vote, and I woke up one day and said, look, I can't do that anymore. I can't, I have to, start voting and get out and vote. I mean, I made that mistake many, many years, and people are still making this mistake. It's like Douglas Dakota put out a video. It's like, people who don't vote, you shouldn't be complaining. You shouldn't be saying anything because you're not, what are you doing to make a difference? I'm hoping on Monday, I'm going to try and go back to my, to the Republican meeting because I want to make a difference. I want to, see what I can do to help. It starts on a local level, as we've said before. You find out who's running in your districts. Who's your county representative. You support him or her if you like what they stand for, and you vote. You see what you can do to help promote that person.
Right.
I mean, there's not. I mean, like I said, even we still got to worry about getting Trump reelected. But even after that, I mean, one thing at a time. But
yeah, well, no, we got. I'm looking at the two guys in your neck of the woods. I'm looking. Was it Jeff Kemp? I always forget. I always mess up his first name because I think of Jack Kemp every time I think of his name. But it's Jeff Kemp, I think, and then of course Ron DeSantis. So I mean, those are two guys that I mean, those, you know, Georgia's a pretty big state, pretty diverse state as far as how the appeal he. Again, Kemp got a lot of the black male vote in Georgia, and Roland Martin did a show on that. In fact, Roland Martin did a show on that, yelling at black men in Georgia for not voting for Stacey Abrams. He actually did a show because he knew. See, he didn't care what the polls said. He knew. He knew what happened in Georgia. He knew black men did not vote for her. They either stayed home or they voted for DeSantis. I mean, for Kemp. Yeah. He knew, Roland Martin knew it. He knew it. And that's why he did a video afterwards yelling and screaming and blasting black men in Georgia who didn't vote for Stacey Abrams. So, I mean... You know, so in other words, he has good appeal. So there's some with a good appeal, and then of course DeSantis, he had to win with a diverse group of voters in Florida. You can't win with just you know white upper middle class voters in Florida. You're going to lose. I mean, you have to appeal to a broad swath of the electorate to win a big state like that, a very diverse state like that.
Well,
so
Miami has a.
Go ahead.
Miami has a very large population of Venezuelan exiles. Not to mention, most Cuban Americans vote Republican. Although I know a lot of Cuban people don't like Trump, but I do know Cuban people who voted for Trump. And
I think Cuban people. I think Cuban people like Trump. Wait, what makes you say that Cuban people don't like Trump? No, really, no.
No, but I mean, like my family, on my
really? Okay.
my family, on my mom's side does not like Trump, but they understand that he does some good things. And last time I went to visit them, they were asking me questions about Trump, and here I am explaining to them, I mean, I asked it got to the point where I asked my cousin, look, why'd you leave Cuba? If you came here, what? I literally asked my family, why did they leave Cuba if they hated capitalism, Right. I mean, literally, I mean, I just got tired. I mean, I had to tell them. I mean, they're asking me these questions, and I mean, and I'm trying to answer them, but then it's like they're trying to get me to change my mind, and I'm like, it ain't happening, But, I love my family, but, they're just uninformed, I mean, a lot of them really haven't been in this country, but maybe 10 or 12, 13 years. But to me, that's more than enough time to understand why the country you're living in is a great country. I mean,
right.
You just come and you just, I mean, I don't get it, Carl. I don't, but I mean, DeSantis had a huge Latin vote in Florida. I mean, and I don't know, I didn't see how many African Americans voted for DeSantis. I know it was quite a few.
Oh no, trust me, but, no. Here's the problem though. You'll never know. Again, they lie to the pollsters. You'll never know. You'll never know the real number. That's the funny. Again, that's the funny thing. You'll never know. Again, there's no way Trump won North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Michigan without the black male vote. It's impossible. Yeah. I don't give a shit what the numbers. Because, he said, 8%, 6%. Yeah, bullshit. He would have lost. He would have lost all three of those states. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, and two, I know I say this a lot, but look at how many African American people are defending Trump. Pastor Mark Burns defends Trump. The ABL has defended Trump. I mean, even conservatives outside of YouTube, defend Trump because they understand that Trump is it. I mean, if we can't get Trump reelected, or we can't help to get people to see that Trump is the one who is doing things for not just Black America, but Hispanic America, Asian America, Indian America. I mean, just every American citizen. I mean, I think a lot of them are starting to realize, and that's why a lot of them are starting to get more vocal about their support for Trump. And we need this. We need more people to start, having the debates within the African American and minority communities. I mean, the debates have been going on forever in the minority communities, with the likes of Larry Elder, people who, like the African Americans who follow Larry Elder. I mean, I know I had a buddy of mine who is, I think he's from Haiti, and he showed me this thing, but I never wanted to talk politics with him because I always thought he was me assuming, but sometimes you just don't know, especially in today's world. But he showed me this thing, and he goes, I can't believe all these Democrats and are talking about gun control and thank God Hillary didn't win. But he's telling me this in a way that like he's talking like you and I, right? As he's telling me this, and I'm looking at him a little puzzled. And he said, "What? You think because I'm from Haiti, I vote Democrat? Why would you assume that?" I mean, yeah,
Right.
he told me that, and I go,
right.
I just said, no, I'm a little surprised, but he said, it's understandable. But
Well,
see, the fact that he
what's
said
funny
that,
is it's that sometimes you get so inundated with the mainstream media lies that they slip into your brain, subconsciously. So you're right. You'll be talking to somebody from Haiti, and it must be a Democrat. Well, that's because that's what you hear, right? That's what we hear. And
yeah,
sometimes, even though you try to fight it, propaganda is really, really good the way they do it. I mean, they've been spending decades learning how to do this and getting it and really honing their craft. And it's a multi-billion-dollar. It comes at you in places you don't expect. On commercials. I mean, Gillette kind of just showed that, but they kind of overplayed their hand. I'm sure there are a lot of subliminal
yeah,
people out there saying, "Hey, man, you just let everybody know that commercials are used to try to sway people." So they're really good. I mean, if you go to a movie, you watch a TV show, you watch a TV commercial, not just the news. You can avoid CNN and MSNBC all you want, but you're getting it from all these other sources. So when we see someone from Haiti, we all must be a Democrat, and the guy's like, "Wow, why would you think that?" And you go, "Shit, man, you're right. Why the fuck would I think that?"
yeah,
Shit. It's like,
yeah,
wait, where did that come from? You don't even know where it came from.
yeah,
But you heard it somewhere. Like it just slipped into your
yeah,
brain the way that. I mean, Joseph Goebbels would be happy as hell. He's like, wow, I never thought of all these tactics. But what the tactics they use
yeah,
is extraordinary. They come at you so many different times in so many different ways. It's exhausting. And then if you're in college, if you're one of these poor kids in college, you're getting inundated by your professors and even the textbooks you're reading. There's not alternative books to read. I mean, you're reading the textbook, and the textbook's totally slanted, and then your professor's explaining to you, and all your initial assumptions are all slanted to begin with. So you're starting out way slanted, and then trying to hard. If you make it back to center, you're doing really good. Let alone trying to get to on the
yeah.
right on an argument.
hmm Did you see what Steve Turley posted in his community post today? There are a lot of he did a video on a lot of liberal colleges are shutting their doors, and I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm seeing if I can find it right now. But he had posted like several. I don't know if it was liberal arts colleges or just liberal colleges in general, but he did a video on them about how a lot of them are closing their doors after losing grant money. I don't know if it's because of the loss of grant money or if it's the loss of money from people enrolling. I mean, we all know Evergreen. Ever since Evergreen had the
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. Yeah, they've been losing
yeah,
money and losing students. I mean, the parents don't want to send their kids there. The kids are like, "Oh, I want to go there."
yeah,
It's like, "Yeah, I'm the one paying for it. Shut up." Or I'm the one co-signing
yeah,
your loan. It's like, "No, you're not going there." No, I know that their enrollment went way down the year after, and it's still down as far as I know.
yeah. Well, it's it's I don't. I mean, I don't. I guess I don't even know of any conservative university. I mean, PragerU, but that's like I don't even know. Is that even like a university where people go to
Well,
study,
there's
or is it
this
just
one
the name of the?
kick-ass university in Arizona, and it's totally not political, and they make their kids. I mean, it's like Tucker had the guy on who runs the school, and they do tons of. I mean, you have to read like a book a week, and it's just real intense. It's the kind of education that you're supposed to be getting. But I can't
Mm,
remember the name. It's a private university in Arizona. Then, of course, there's the Liberty University. But as far as conservative universities, I don't think there's really. I mean, like places you'd never think they're like left leaning universities, like Missouri. University of
mhm,
Missouri is like a real hotbed of liberalism. I mean, of all places, Missouri. I mean, you would never expect that. But I mean, just
mhm,
all kinds of campuses are just gone so far left. I mean, you you feel sorry for these kids. they're not getting a real full education because part of the whole purpose of a university, especially the way the classes are set up. Like it's not like in high school you go into class, the bell rings, you're going to class one right after the other 5 days a week. I mean, it's set up so that you're supposed to have a lot of time to be able to interact with other students and professors. That's the whole point of the learning process. You maybe have 3 classes a day. They're spread out, so I mean you're supposed to be interacting with each other during that time. But if your only interaction is just either you're getting yelled at or you're just agreeing with everybody, you're not getting enriched. You're not getting the full university experiences, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like they make up all these studies too. Like, I mean, they make studies and they give out degrees for stuff you can't even get jobs for. I mean, all it is just an excuse to get more grant money for the schools.
Right.
I mean, and then they allocate those funds to whatever it is they, teachers' bonuses or whatever, and, like you may only hire like maybe 3 or 4 teachers for gender studies. I mean, gender studies, really? I mean, right.
Hold on. Solex asked to see that article I got up right now. See the article I have right now?
Oh, sorry, Solex, my bad.
No. Okay, you can see it not on YouTube, but can you see it on the screen you're looking at with me on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that way you can read it in real time. Okay, tell you what, let's hit this article, and we'll go and cover it real quick. All right, so Biden slams...
Sorry, Solex.
No, not at all. Biden slams absolutely stupid rivals for strategy of maybe we should pick on Barack Obama a bit. Okay, let's make this smaller here. All right, so here we go. Joe Biden criticized his Democratic primary rivals for taking swipes at former President Barack Obama's administration. There is a newfound sense maybe we should pick on Barack a bit. And by the way, it's just absolutely stupid. This is Biden. Biden told supporters at a Chicago high-dollar fundraiser, according to a poll report. The former vice president recognized Obama's connections to Chicago, saying, in his hometown, I just want to thank him for all of you. Obama was born in Hawaii and moved to Chicago after graduating from college. Biden has used his connection to Obama as a key selling point of his candidacy, and his campaign describes successes from that era as coming from the Obama-Biden administration. During a July Democratic primary debate, some candidates criticized the Obama administration, particularly on immigration issues and deportation of illegal immigrants. One of us has, and then this was what Castro said to Biden, one of us has learned the lessons of the past, and one hasn't, former Housing Secretary Julian Castro said during the debate, criticizing Biden's opposition to Castro's plan to decriminalize unauthorized border crossings. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker jabbed Biden for evading a question about deportations under Obama. And he said this is Booker saying to Biden, you can't have it both ways. You evoke President Obama more than anyone in this campaign. You can't do it when it's convenient and then duck it when it's not, he said. The candidates, however, quickly noted that they appreciated Obama. Castro praised the former president in a tweet the next day because they realized they fucked up. And Booker said he would not be running for president if Obama was seeking a third term. During the September primary debate, many candidates praised Obama. Yeah, September, you notice they were all like kissing his ass all of a sudden. What happened was, their support among black voters went way down. I mean, they didn't. I guess they forgot they're in the Democratic Party, and you got South Carolina coming up here pretty quick, Super Tuesday, and a huge number of those states in the South, a huge majority of the primary voters are African American. Then Warren even said we all owe a huge debt to President Obama, who fundamentally transformed healthcare in America and committed this country to healthcare for every human being. Warren said during the debate. Yeah, so I mean, they realized they saw the numbers after they were all bashing on Obama, and they realized they all fucked up, and it's like, we better shut up. So, but hey, there's Lee, Red Nation under God. Hey, Lee.
Hey, Lee, what's up? Yeah, it's Obamacare. How many? What I'd like to know is how many illegals were covered under Obamacare, because you had people dipping into their 401ks, dipping into their savings to pay for outrageous premiums that weren't covered, and deductibles that weren't covered. Again, the Obamacare. If you I guess if you made like under 20,000-30,000, you weren't subject to the
You know, if
you weren't subject to the fees or something like that.
No. If you made under like 30,000 or 20,000, you got it for free. You don't have to. You don't have to pay anything for it. You don't have to pay any premiums.
Yeah.
You got subsidized completely for it, 100%. Yeah, it was. Yeah, but if you made any money where you could actually have a job, it cost you a fortune. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Carl, real quick. Something. One of my friends who she's part of a group called Women for Trump. She was wondering, and how come a lot of times, I mean, we all know that these candidates that get elected, they never talk about mental health or anything. You know, why is it that, I don't know. I tried to answer her question as best I could, but she was basically asking me how come they don't ever address mental health issues. Instead, they're always focusing more on gun control, yada yada. You know, I mean, but my answer to her was simply because they want problems, they want chaos, they don't want to address the mental health issues that plague people drive them to do these things. But I don't really know how to answer her question. But she was asking me about, because this was brought up when we were discussing Obamacare, and she was like, you know, well, when I first heard of Obamacare, I thought maybe it was going to be, you know, cover like doctor visits, psychiatrist visits, you know, like all around kind of medical, you know, anything that had to do with any kind of related medical, whether it was counseling or something. But I mean, I don't know. I really didn't know how to answer her question. I don't know if I even asked this question in the right manner, but.
So as far, I'm really not sure.
I
understand it. What was her basic question as far as why didn't Obamacare cover mental health?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. I don't even know if I know how to present the question. It's like, you know, because she's been asking me, and I answered it like 3 times, but, you know, because I guess she's still on the Obamacare.
And it's not covering her mental, it's not covering mental health for her or something, or what?
That's according to her. Yeah, that's according to her. But, you know, I guess her son has issues. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I never really got that deep in the weeds on Obamacare. So, I mean, I don't know why they're not covering mental health. I don't know what that's about. I mean, shit, they were covering birth control. I don't know why they wouldn't cover mental health issues.
That's what. Yeah, that's, you know, but I don't know. You know, I know people who lost their savings for retirement under Obamacare, and that's what it was designed to do: destroy, you know, transfer the wealth to the lower class.
Right. Well, you know, remember, like he told Joe the plumber in 2012, we got to spread the wealth. And Joe's like, hey man, I make $45,000 a year. I mean, how much am I supposed to give away of that? You know, it was a great question.
Yeah.
And it never got answered. You know, but you know, 45,000. You know, oh, that's a lot of money. Well, no, it's 40 shit. That's not a lot of money. It's 45,000 a year. That's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, you got a wife and kids and stuff. I mean, you're struggling. I mean, you're struggling. You're you know, you got to pay your mortgage and your car note, at least one car note, maybe 2 if you're lucky, and you got kids and they cost a small fortune. So I mean, you know, we got to spread the wealth. He's like, well, shit. I mean, I'm barely making it as it is. Where am I giving it to? So yeah, just kind of nonsense like that. But hey, you want to look at this story here about China, about Trump's, about how China's getting zapped pretty good here. So anyway, so here's the headline.
Oh, yes.
China's economy faces a triple threat, and one economist says the trade war is only part of the story. There's a bunch of other parts of it, but the trade war is not helping. It's coming. Basically, the trade war is coming at the worst time because they're dealing with some systemic problems in their economy, and the trade war is the worst possible time for this to happen. So let's take a look here. So China's preliminary third quarter economic growth rate is the slowest ever forecast, and a triple threat of developmental factors could send the country into an even longer contraction, according to a Nomura economist. The three primary threats are one, a projected decline in the nation's population starting in 2032, 2, a middle-income trap, and 3, the U.S.-China trade war. The factors could wipe out China's manufacturing advantage and send multinational corporations to other nations for cheap labor, Nomura's Richard Koo wrote. So anyway, it goes on to say, China's economy is grinding to its slowest levels of growth in decades. The country's second quarter growth of 6.2%, which is, we would love 6.2%, but for that many people, that's not enough. The country's second quarter growth rate of 6.2% was the slowest rate seen since it began reporting quarterly figures. The preliminary third quarter estimate of 6% to 6.5% is the slowest ever forecast. Though global stock markets have stabilized and trade talks with the U.S. have resumed after a 2-month hiatus, China's economy faces trouble from several different sectors. The Moore Research Institute chief economist Richard Koo wrote, a large part of China's economic prowess comes from its ability to provide cheaper labor than other industrialized nations at a massive scale. A triple threat of growth attenuating factors could eliminate the country's manufacturing advantage and move critical foreign investment elsewhere. In other words, the money will just take off someplace else. And here are the three main threats Koo detailed. Markets, let's see. There we go. Well, you got to sign up.
Trump is winning. Trump is winning. Oh, yeah.
Trump is definitely winning, without a doubt. You know, I mean, he's doing phenomenal right now. I mean, you know, this again. You know, if you're going to negotiate with somebody, you got to be willing to spend some time on it. You know, a lot of people are like, you know, oh, we just gotta, you know, this is hurting us right this second. It's like, well, you know, give it a few seconds. So, and then somebody brought up the other day, I think it might have been D.A. Archer, asked me about this, about the backlog and the cases here. Let me see. Let me pull it up a little bit bigger here. Immigration.
You know, China, you know, it's funny because China they want Hong Kong. They want to absorb Hong Kong because they want to control Hong Kong's industry. They want to control Hong Kong's currency. I mean, because isn't Hong Kong's like the third or fourth largest economy in the world, I think?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if it's third or fourth, but it's up there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
And, you know, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just, yeah, I mean, but go ahead. I didn't know where you were going with Hong Kong. Where are you going with that?
Well, no, but I think that, you know, they want to use Hong Kong as like if they take over, like, you know, they want to use Hong Kong as some kind of a bargaining chip, you know, for trade talks or, you know, I mean, because if they absorb Hong Kong, you know, they take over, you know, they absorb Hong Kong into China fully. I mean, like they literally, because I think because Hong Kong is still governed by a democracy, isn't it? I think a democratic government.
Yeah, you know, I'm not quite sure. There's still kind of, it was a weird hybrid right now because I mean, the British gave up Hong Kong, and it's kind of some weird hybrid. Independent, non-independent country. China has like in charge of external security. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, basically, they're going to eventually grab it, and then and nobody's going to be going to war with China anytime soon to save Hong Kong. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, you know, China's starting to colonize some of Africa too.
Oh no, they're colonizing a lot of. They're colonizing, and I'm glad you said colonizing because that's exactly the right word. You know, they're not. They're doing business deals. They're colonizing that place right now, and they just did the African Free Trade Union Agreement, and it was written by the Chinese. And you know, guess who it benefits the most? Okay, so no, they're colonizing China right now, and I mean China. They're colonizing Africa right now. And they're doing a really good job of it too, and they're bringing all that Huawei technology in, which is allowing them to spy on everybody. You know. But yeah, they're in Uganda big time. I think they're in Kenya. They're in a bunch of countries right now. But go ahead, go ahead about that though. That's definitely interesting to talk about.
I was going to say too, because I wouldn't be surprised if China was influencing the African government. You know, because we don't really hear much about it, but to the extent of my knowledge, it's still going on. Where the Afrikaners, the white Africans, are losing their land. They're getting their land seized without notice, and they're like just kind of putting people in like these ghetto, you know, they're rounding them up and putting them in these ghetto areas.
Oh yeah, what's her name? Who did the really good story on that? What's her name?
Laura Southern.
Laura Southern. She did a great job on that. No, I mean, no, it's horrible. It's happening to them. I mean, those people would have a real case for asylum, and they went to the UN to ask to be considered granted like asylum status or refugee status or something, and the UN said, "Oh, get lost." It's like, no, we're really come down here. Take a look what's going on down here. No, they have a real claim.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if China was influencing the because you know China's going to want those lands to, you know, because South African lands are some of the most fertile lands in all of Africa, but let's be frank. How many Africans actually know how to work that land? I'm sure some do, but do they have enough people to work those lands? I mean, you're gonna, so what are they gonna do? They're gonna take well, let's call it as it is, Carl. They're gonna take the white man's property, and then bring them back on to work those lands. Tell them, hey, look, either work these lands or you're gonna starve. We're not gonna, you don't hear about it. One thing reported on it a couple of times, but it was a while ago. But again, just going back to China, I wouldn't be surprised if China had some kind of, hand in what's going on to them in Africa. I mean, China's, look at all the deals they're signing with South America, countries of South America, Latin America.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, no,
China.
Lee wrote in the chat. I just put it up. You should be able to see it. Africans are mad at China. Well, the people on the ground may be mad at them, but a lot of those countries, those are not democracies. Those are they're not pure dictators, but like the guy in Uganda just is amending the Constitution to run for office again, and basically he's arresting his political opposition, and the Chinese are helping him with that Huawei whatever thing to be able to spy on his opposition and find out who the opposition leaders are, and he's been arresting them. So so maybe the people may not be happy with China because they're treating them like slaves. I mean, they really are. I mean, they're workers. But see, this is what they do though. They go into a country like Uganda, right? And there's a leader there, and they say, hey, we want all these mining contracts. We want to be able to have a free hand and do all this shit. And the Ugandan leader's like, well, I don't know. And the guy goes, well, here's $1 billion in a Swiss bank account. And he goes, yeah, man, here's your contract. And the Chinese pay for it. They pay the country's treasurer, but this guy's got $1 billion sitting offshore someplace. So, that's what's going on there, and they're all up and down Africa right now. And again, they're the ones who wrote the African Free Trade Union Agreement, and it benefits them. It does, it's not going to benefit the guys on the ground. Now, some of the leaders, some of the leaders are getting paid a shitload of money, and they're letting these people come in and treat the people in Africa like shit. And there's been there was a mine revolt. I think they killed one Chinese manager because they revolted. I mean, the conditions, they're horrible. I mean, there's like, Roman Empire days, like people working on the mines. I mean, it's like bad. Yeah. And but the leaders are sitting on a shitload of cash, the guys who run the countries, and there's kind of a semi-dictator, semi-democracy, we're going to amend the Constitution, let me run the place longer, kind of like a Vladimir Putin kind of thing. And, and they're using the military to suppress opposition and everything else. So, the African people on the ground may be mad, but they're not the ones in charge. The guy at the top with his army's in charge.
Well, you look at how China does things. Right? I mean, China, we're talking about a country that's 4,000 years, civilization, China knows they know how to handle their enemies. They know how to, they kind of view us as a tributary state. I mean, we are a tributary state to them. That's how they view us, here in America. And, when Steve Bannon was talking about how the globalist elites, failed us in America, no, they let it happen. They're in on it. And, what China does is, they give our leaders and leaders around the world, a taste of the good life. They're like, okay, kind of like what the globalists do here, because the globalist tactics are based on some Chinese ideology. They give, say someone like Cory Booker, right? Has some like a lawsuit against him, right? These globalists, they're like, okay, we're going to take care of your problems. We're going to make them disappear, but you're going to do X, Y, Z for us, and the Chinese they do the same thing. What is it called? The barbarian management system, I think, something like that,
No, tell me
that's
about
how Bannon. Yeah.
Is that how Bannon described it? Steve Bannon described it?
Yeah, but I've also seen other things that Bannon didn't talk about, like, look at Genghis Khan, right? I mean, Genghis Khan, he murdered millions of people. We get that, but the man did not get to where he was by being dumb. I mean, the man was smart.
No. The organization of his military was. I was watching a History Channel show about how his military was organized. If you watch the movie, it looks like just a bunch of cavalry guys just riding with no order and just kind of just charging straight ahead. No, it was broken up into like squads and regiments and battalions, and it was very orderly and it was very disciplined. And a lot of discipline. It was kind of like, I think he based it kind of like the Roman legion, except instead of Romans, their main part of their army was the infantry. With Genghis Khan, the main part of his army was the cavalry. But that was the only difference. But other than that, the organization was pretty similar. When you look at, they mapped out how the troops were organized and how they were, and then how they took the field and everything. I mean, there was a lot of discipline. It wasn't like in the movies. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's because because everybody always said China. I mean, anyway, going back to what I was saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get ahead of myself. But Genghis Khan knew that, if you take over an area, right, or you defeat that city's army, okay, well, you give the people a choice. They can either, come to our aid, or you do what we say, or we're just gonna wipe you off the face of the map. And he also knew that people who were allowed, like, Genghis Khan didn't really care what religion people practiced as long as they were doing what he wanted them to do, And a leader with that kind of mindset knows how to deal with people. They know how to get through to people. I mean, his troops, I mean, he knew that an obedient army was a happy army. He gave his troops a little bit of, the spoils of war, let them, if any troops said, if they came across something, it was theirs. If they claimed a right to it, if you had two people claim a right to it, they duked it out, whatever they did back in those days, but it's the same kind of mentality even today. But, you literally give people the taste of the good life. You keep letting them have that. And in return, they do your bidding, as we all know. But, they get sloppy in their tactics when they try to go too full steam ahead. And that's what, I mean, why are we hearing more about China this year alone than we ever had in 2 years of any of Trump's 2 years of presidency? First it was seeing the Democrats doing their thing, and now we're hearing China. China's name is coming up in so many different conversations, topics, people who follow it, people who, who have been studying this stuff for years and years. I mean, I learned, it's amazing what you learn when you do the research and just listening to other people talk, and you can put two and two together. I mean,
right.
We always, everyone always said, well, China, is going to invade, but everybody always thought, well, China's going to invade army. No, that was never their plan. They take over the capitalist markets. They take over, the trade. It's like something on Disabled Vets Perspective. They're buying up ports. I think they're buying up ports in Canada, seaports, because if they have access to those seaports, they can say, look, you want to bring your product in, fine, but you've got to pay a fee, and then you got to pay any other tariffs or fees that we put on, handling of cargo, space, I mean, they're literally going to charge you the air you breathe in their space. I mean, that's kind of the whole idea of what they're trying to do.
No, they're real smart. What do they call it? The belt, something road belt or some shit. What are they calling that? Bannon talks about it.
What is it? But they control the shipping lanes. I mean, they want to, from what I understand, they want to close off the China Red Sea. I mean, can you imagine people who ship products? I mean, you're literally going to have to go hundreds of miles.
The South China Sea. Yeah, they built all those little islands, and then they claim once they build the island up, and then they say, okay, now you can't be within 7 miles or whatever it is, 12 miles of this island, and they build a bunch of islands, and eventually 12 miles is 12 miles. Eventually they say, oh, you can't run a ship through here. Now they were getting away with some of that shit during the Obama administration, and they knew he wasn't going to challenge them, on the high seas. They knew he wasn't going to do shit. And plus they had, intelligence information on, like Trump said at the rally the other night, when he first got into office, he said he met with one of his generals, and he goes, hey, things may get kind of hot out there, are you guys ready to go? And the general turns to him and says, sir, we don't have enough ammunition to do any kind of large-scale operation anywhere in the world right now. And Trump's like, can you repeat that? He goes, we ain't got no ammunition. He goes, what? And then, that's why he had to push through that $700 billion plus, defense spending bill, because again, I talked about this the other night, there were squadrons of planes that couldn't go up in the air, helicopters, Apache helicopters, etc., and they were pirating parts from this helicopter to, they're like, say they had 10 helicopters, they were pirating parts from say 6 of them to get 4 to be able to be operational. I mean, it was that bad. I mean, so really, it was like the Russian, military near the end of the Cold War, that it looked good on paper, but in actuality, they really couldn't field an Army or a Navy or an Air, especially the Air Force or their Navy. You really couldn't put them into the field in large numbers to do anything like they said they could. And that's where kind of when Trump walked in, that's kind of what he found. And he's like, shit, well, okay, well, we got to move on this fast. And he just mentioned that now at the rally in North Carolina, and not New Mexico rather, because enough time had gone by, and then now they have enough ammunition. Now they're fully functional. The Air Force is functional. The Navy's functional. Everybody's ready to go. So now he can say it out loud to say, oh, by then, 2.5 years ago, we didn't have shit. Well, we got shit now though, so don't fuck with us. But yeah, it was pretty bad when he took over. So shit.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's like anytime a Republican gets in, they always build up a military. Democrat tears it down because Democrats, as we all know, they want more social programs, and they usually take, the Democrats are notorious for taking military spending and spending it. They take whatever money for the military, and then they love to put it into social welfare programs. I mean, and it's like, when Obama took, back when the police were getting military, military equipment to deal with certain situations that may come up, Trump's making it possible to where they have access to, military weaponry or not, military armament and stuff, if they need it. I mean, certain like the SWAT teams and, I don't all know exactly what kind of equipment Obama took away, but I'm sorry, Carl. In that subject, I'm rusty on that subject, but I do know that there was a lot of equipment that that Obama was denying the police departments. They weren't filling orders. They were literally like just leaving them defenseless almost. I mean, to the point where they were gonna. I'm surprised he was letting them have guns. But. Yeah, I mean, it's, but, when you look at, when you look at, the things that Trump is doing, when you look at, I truly believe Obama was trying to literally weaken our military. So let's say, possibly even leave us open for invasion, strip away the Second Amendment, Hillary comes in, enforces gun laws, leaves people defenseless, and then you bring in the white hats, the peacekeeping forces of the UN, come in, and that's the question that needs to be asked. If we ever had a situation like that, what would our military do? I mean, I support our men and women in service, but Carl, let's be real. You're always going to have soldiers that say, "Look, I'm just following orders,"
Well, yeah. And well, you got to remember, there are some soldiers. At the end of the day, they're just nothing more than civil servants with a gun. Unfortunately, and so they have that job, and they have that paycheck, and they have their benefits, and they have their wife living on base with their kids, and they're given an order, and they say, "Well, if you don't do this order, we're going to court-martial you, and then you're going to lose all your benefits, you're going to lose your salary, your wife's going to get kicked out of base housing with your kids, and they're going to make a choice."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what they would do if that situation came up.
I mean, I don't say this disrespecting the military, but, back when that, but a small example would be like, when I didn't follow it too closely, but the Bundy Ranch farm incident, when you had armed federal agents out there with, with machine guns and tactical gear.
That was right around the corner. That was right around the corner from us. It was in Clark County, but it was,
oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah, that's right around the corner from where I live. Yeah, that's not that far away.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, from what I understand, the Bundys weren't really bothering anybody. They were just living off the land. I mean,
okay. I followed that case a little bit because it was local. It was right in our face. Now they ended up getting their case dismissed because the prosecution withheld evidence from the defense, the Brady evidence, exculpatory evidence, and the U.S. District Court judge. It happened more than once. The U.S. District Court judge finally said enough's enough and just threw the case out, and these guys all walked. What happened with the Bundys was as follows. Okay, they were grazing their land on grazing their cattle on federal land, on Bureau of Land Management, federal land. Most of the land in the state of Nevada is owned by the federal government. It just is because of how we came into the Union. We came in 1864, right in the middle of the Civil War. So all our representatives had to swear allegiance to the Union, to the United States government. We're one of the few states where, in our Constitution, which was written pretty much by Abe Lincoln and friends, our Constitution, that anybody in office, even a county commissioner, has to swear allegiance to the United States government. And the reason for that was because we were bringing us in 1864, and right in the middle of the Civil War, and so they wanted to make sure they weren't going to get admitted and quick become a slave state, right? Then run to the South, and we had a large Mormon population. Nevada was part of the Utah territories, and it got split up because the Mormons decided to go kill a bunch of Christians on the way to California. And so the Union Army showed up with 5,000 troops, and they said, oh, shit, it was that one guy, and they pointed their finger at this one dude, and they killed him. And they said, okay, we're going to split you up now. Here's the deal. Nevada is going to become a state. Utah stays a territory. And because Utah and Nevada used to be one big territory. It was the Utah territory. And then they just draw a line. And they said, okay, this is now the state of Nevada, which now is going to join the Union, and we're not going to kill all of you. And they said, okay, deal. We like that. So that's how we became a state. But most of the land in the state of Nevada is owned by the federal government. So where they were grazing their cattle was on federal BLM land, Bureau of Land Management land, and you're supposed to pay grazing fees, okay, to the federal government. Well, the money's like, we don't want to pay them. And, well, no, you got to pay. You got to pay the damn grazing fees. And this went on for years, 10 years. Okay, and it went to court, everything, and they still refused to pay. Yeah. So then they came in and said, well, shit, I forgot what they were going to do. I don't know what the feds were going to do. I think they were going to come in and try to take their cattle. And then a bunch of guys showed up with firearms also, and it got kind of ugly out there. Nothing happened because everybody, cooler heads prevailed. But a few guys did get arrested because some guys were actually aiming firearms at federal officials, rifles and stuff. They were scoping them in. And, of course, these idiots were people taking selfies and pictures and shit. Like, oh, yeah, look at that, So, of course, they got busted, and then they charged some people with conspiracy. It's a big case. It was held down in the U.S. District Court in Las Vegas, in Clark County. And but again, the prosecution, U.S. Attorney's Office, was withholding evidence and stuff. So eventually the U.S. District Court judge just kicked the case. I think it was I want to say it was a female judge. I can't remember, but she or he just got pissed, and it was finally like, okay, that's it, I'm done, goodbye. Yeah, so that was the Bundy case down here.
So the Bundys were not entirely innocent either. I mean, it's
no, they were just supposed to pay their damn grazing fees. They didn't think they had to. Yeah. It's like this is God's land. Why are we paying grazing fees? Well, because it's not yours. Yeah. Okay. You own a ranch over here, okay, like over there, and you want to graze your cattle over here, and over here is our land. And if you want to graze there, fine, we let you graze, but you got to pay fees to graze your cattle on our land. And they said, fuck you, it's God's land, and we're going to graze them where we want. And the feds are like, no, we just pay the damn fees, okay? We're fine. We don't care. You just got everybody pays grazing fees in the state of Nevada. You graze, you don't own. You'd have to have a pretty large ranch to be able to have enough land to graze all your cattle on. You got some big cattle ranches out here, and they don't. So they say, okay, we'll let you graze them on the federal land, but you got to pay fees for it. The fees are like for the upkeep and stuff, and shit like that. And the fees aren't, from what I hear, they weren't that much, but they just didn't want to pay them. So that's how that ended up going. So they weren't completely in the clear. I mean, the feds might have been over the top, but I'm not sure though, because I didn't really get into the weeds on that case. To be honest with you, I was kind of busy, but it sounded like they had been giving them chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. Like, okay, just start making payments. Okay, you can't pay the whole thing at once. That's fine. We'll put you on a payment plan. Just start paying it back, and you can still keep grazing. And they were like, "Fuck you, we're not doing that either." It was like, well. Shit, what do you expect them to do? I mean, they just can't. Because then if they get away with it, then everybody gets away with it. And nobody pays any fees, and then nobody paid for the upkeep of the land and stuff like that. And they do lots of things like they'll do overpopulation of burrows. They'll go and unfortunately round them up, kill them, and stuff like that. There's too many out there and shit. So I mean, BLM does stuff out there on the land and shit, and they charge fees to the cattle guys for grazing to help pay for that. So so it wasn't completely innocent. No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, it's funny because I remember a comment one time from some troll. It was a while back, but he says typical of all Trump supporters, buck tooth, live out in the woods with their rifles in hand, sitting on the rocking chair. I'm like, dude, do you even hear how you sound?
Right. Unfortunately,
I mean,
that's how the mainstream media thinks of us, though. Too. That's funny. They sit in their studio in New York. They live in Manhattan. They live in D.C., which means they live in Virginia and stuff. So I mean, they're in this little exclusive club, gated communities, and they never get out. And they just see people on TV, and they're always interviewing some stupid guy with the worst fucking possible accent you can imagine, and he sounds like he's just something out of like the 1920s or something, some old farmer with a piece of straw hanging out of his mouth, and they always find the dumbest guy they can find to interview, and it's not indicative of the population, it's just the dumbest guy you could find. And they, oh yeah, see, there's what these people are like that guy. And that guy, that guy in town is like, everybody says, oh, he's an idiot, and then of course they interview the idiot, So.
Well, what else is really funny too? Like, if you ever see those politicians who go on, like when they stand on stage, right, and then they go into the, like when they're trying to push a gun control issue, right, and then they pick up a gun that's like it's a machine gun or like some gun that's not even used anymore. And, because literally that's what they do. They try to find the scariest guns that they can find to, well, this is the kind of gun that, is out in the street. And, this is the kind of gun that we're trying to ban. You ever seen those videos where they do that?
Yeah, they'll have like Tech 9.
And,
they look ugly and stupid, but nobody uses them. Yeah. Just the scariest gun they can find. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, first off, the audience they're talking to doesn't have the clue that those kind of guns, those automatic machine guns, are not legal to begin with.
Right.
I mean,
they're talking to a bunch of people. They're talking to a bunch of people. They're talking to a bunch of people that don't know a damn thing about firearms. They just don't, and so they listen to these people on the news. No, I mean they were covering some story and they were showing, some guy using a bump stock or shooting a semi-automatic rifle, and the way he was holding it and everything. It was just like, it was terrible. I mean, if you knew anything about firearms, you just realized that the whole show was just bullshit.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's it's like too, like I don't know, what do they call those the handguns that are like you hold. I know very little about guns, but you hold them and it's like they have the rapid fire action, like the clip just goes back and forth on the top part of the gun.
Oh, I mean the chamber, semi-automatic pistol.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The slide is going back and forth. Yeah, it's semi-automatic pistol.
Yeah, but those are legal to my understanding.
Yeah, no, semi-automatic. I own a I got one real close by, as a matter of fact, right now. Semi-automatic pistol, sure. Yeah, those are definitely legal. Yeah. Now, different states have different regulations on the size of the magazines. Like California has a 10-round magazine capacity max. Back east, I think Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania. I'm not sure about Pennsylvania, but like Jersey and Delaware, they have those magazine capacity max. You can only have 10-round magazines, and so the gun manufacturers had to make them. I mean, it couldn't just be you had a 15-round magazine that you just loaded 10 rounds into. No, the magazine itself could not hold more than 10 rounds. So like Glock and Smith and Wesson, everybody, they just started pushing out 10-round magazines for those states where people own those firearms. Yeah.
What's a little scary is that Walmart controls, I think, 18 or 20% of ammunition sales in the country.
Wow.
And I know it's scary, but I wonder how long it's going to take before I mean, maybe they don't care, who knows, but I wonder how long it's going to take for Walmart to retract that rule that they, where they're asking people not to conceal carry or open carry in their stores.
Yeah, I didn't see a notice. I didn't see a notice about not concealed carry. They just didn't want anybody open carrying. But yeah, Walgreens did it too.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess they figure if you have a concealed carry permit, you have to go get a permit. But you know, they don't want anybody open carrying. But the point of the law, the point of the rule is stupid because I guess they're saying, oh, if we don't allow people to open carry, then it won't lead to gun violence in the store. But the the big incident they were referencing was, of course, the incident in El Paso, where the guy in other words, the guy in El Paso wasn't just wandering through Walmart, looked around and saw a bunch of Mexicans and said, "Oh shit, I got to kill these people." No, I mean this was a plan. He planned to go to El Paso on that day because that's when I don't know what they do in El Paso. It's like once a week or once a month where people from Mexico can cross over. They give them like a day pass to cross over to go shopping. They go shopping in town. And one of the big places they go, of course, is Walmart. So he planned to drive from Dallas to go to that Walmart. I mean, it wasn't like he got to the front door. If there was a sign that said "No open carry," then this guy would have immediately took his clothes off and put his gun back in the trunk and driven back home. He came down there. I mean, he as soon as he walked in that door, he started shooting. So the point of the rule doesn't make any sense. The rule is like, well, gee, if people open carry, they might get upset and just start shooting people. That's never happened. Okay, and the incident in El Paso was not even close to that. The guy drove there to go kill people, and he started shooting as soon as he walked in the front door. Okay, so I don't understand. The rule makes no sense, but I don't care. I don't shop at Walmart anyway. But still, I mean, it kind of pisses me off that they're saying
I don't blame you.
There's just a knee-jerk reaction, and it's stupid, and I guess it makes them feel better. But
so far Target hasn't jumped on the Target. Well, so far from what I understand, the extent of my knowledge, Target hasn't jumped on that bandwagon, and neither has any other retailers that I've heard of.
Well, I'm sure it's just a matter. I'm sure it's a matter of time. I'm sure they'll. There'll be an incident. I don't know, but I've never heard of an incident where a guy was walking around the store, and then decided after he was in there shopping, and then not that he walked in with a plan, but a guy was just wandering around the store, got mad, and just started capping rounds off at people randomly, because for no reason. Maybe if somebody was in a store and his girlfriend was in there, and it was some dude. And then he pulls a gun and shoots him. I don't know, but I've never heard of a random shooting where the guy didn't have a plan. The guy was just happened to be in the store and got pissed off and just started shooting people randomly. I haven't heard that story, and I'm sure we would have if it happened. So the rule makes no sense, and it's just one of those knee-jerk reactions, makes people feel bad, feel good about themselves rather, and it accomplishes nothing. Like they asked, okay, there were three major shootings that before Odessa. You had the guy in Dayton, then you had the guy in El Paso, and then you had the guy at the Garlic Festival. And the House version there were two bills, right? The House version and the Senate version. The House version was more strict. So they just asked flat out, would even passing the House version, if that was in effect, would have that prevented the Dayton shooting, the El Paso shooting, or the Garlic Festival shooting in Northern Cal? And the answer came back, no, it wouldn't have. Okay, it wouldn't have prevented that whatsoever. Nothing would have prevented those shootings. Your law, so why pass it? Well, we got to do something. Well, don't just do something that's going to work. But see, they're afraid to do something that might work because their version of work would mean confiscation, the Beto O'Rourke plan. We say you can't have this, and if we're going to go get them, and we're going to bang on your door, and you better open that door, and if you don't, we're going to kick the door in. We're going to have 20 guys show up at once to make sure you don't get out of control. And that's Beto O'Rourke's plan, or the Swalwell plan from last year, where we're going to do a mandatory buyback, and of course the government didn't sell you the gun, so they're not buying it back. It's bullshit. We got a mandatory buyback where we're going to give you just compensation for your firearm. You have to give it to us, and if you don't, then we'll arrest you at some point, and you're a felon. Well, same thing. It's just, I guess it's not. They'll eventually knock on your door. They have probable cause. Well, they have probable cause for what? Because he says that the clip I played, he goes, if they have probable cause, they go in and you have a gun there, they'll arrest you. Well, the probable cause would be somebody saw you with a gun in your driveway, walking into the house with it. They said, hey, he's got a gun. There's PC. They go get a search warrant, arrest warrant. They go in. They kick the door in on the search warrant, and he's got his gun, and then somebody gets killed. And that's not good.
Yeah.
That happened already with somebody on a red flag law. They went in to go get his gun. American Joe was telling me about that a couple of weeks ago on when he did a call-in. He said, they went to go get his gun, and then the door burst open. The guy didn't intend to shoot the cops, but he had his gun with him, and the cops just shot him. They were afraid they were going to get shot. That's scary. You got law-abiding citizens who have done nothing wrong, committed no crime, and suddenly they're getting shot down by cops in their own home.
Well,
you know,
see, I can understand.
they're prosecuting a cop right now in Dallas because she walked into an apartment thinking it was her apartment. She was drunk. I don't know what she
Oh
was. I
yeah.
mean, yeah. And then the guy goes hello, and she thought, "What are you doing in my apartment?" And the guy's like, "Well, it's my apartment." And then she shot him, and it went something like that.
Yeah.
So she's being prosecuted for which
Yeah. It was
she
like.
should be. I'm sorry. If you walk into
Yeah.
okay, here's a great example. You walk into my house and you think it's yours, and I say, no, this is my house, and then you shoot me. Okay, I would want her to go to prison for that. Okay, if I'm dead, I would hope that, I'm looking down from heaven saying, I hope that bitch goes to prison. I'm sorry you made a mistake, but I'm still dead, and you got to. I'm sorry, lady. You walked into. She walked into this guy. It's his apartment. She walked into his apartment thinking it was hers, and the guy had the door unlocked too, because he was a pretty nice guy. They said he was a regular dude. He's just some guy.
Yeah.
And so she walks in and says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "What do you mean? What am I doing here? What are you doing here? It's my apartment." And then she got scared or whatever. I don't know. We'll never know the true story because he's dead. And then she shoots him, and he's dead. And they were saying, "Well, she shouldn't be prosecuted." Well, fuck her. If that was me in my house, and somebody walked in thinking it was their house, and they killed me, I would hope from heaven that, looking down, that she got in prison for like forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean that's what could happen with these red flag things. It's like, the confiscation things. It's like same thing. It could lead to a problem. Even if the guy is not even drawing his gun, he goes, "Oh, here," like he does something normal, like, "Oh, here, you can have my gun," and he has it in his hand.
Yeah.
And the cops get scared and they shoot him.
Yeah.
Because he's got his gun in his hand. He goes, "Well, here you go." Like he's trying to cooperate. Like, "Oh, here. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to turn it in tomorrow. Sorry, I forgot. Here." And like, boom, and he's dead. Yeah, that's not a good scene.
Yeah.
That's not positive.
Well, it's I mean, it's like I can understand these YouTubers, especially many pro Second Amendment channels that, are a little concerned about red flag laws, and they should be. But, the best thing you can do is, and again, like we talked about before, if they're so worried about gun registration, and red flag laws, they could better stop posting selfies of themselves holding what guns they own and their gun collection on social media, because that makes them targets for someone to potentially abuse the red flag laws. I mean,
yeah.
First
of all, a gun isn't a toy. Okay, I mean,
exactly,
gangbangers use their guns in rap videos, and they hold them like they're toys, and we look at them like they're stupid, right? We look down upon them. Look at these idiots. They're playing with their guns. I mean, they're stupid, if you got citizens, doing selfies, say, "Oh, look at my gun," and they're holding it and they're treating it like a toy. Well, no, I mean, I was raised differently than that. I was raised. I mean, I started hunting when I was 8 years old. My dad was like, "Well, I'm going to teach you gun safety, and when I see you're old enough to go hunting, you go hunting. I don't care what the law says." Dad grew up on a farm, okay, upstate New York, and he just, so, but he always told us to respect firearms, and they weren't toys. I had my first shotgun when I was 8 or 9 years old, and trust me, we never thought of it as a toy, and we would never just play with it and goof off with it, and we didn't think of it like that. So when you see if adults are doing that, well, I'm sorry, actually, people like that shouldn't have a gun. If you're out there playing with your gun and doing selfies with it and like, "Oh, yeah, I'm pointing it at each other," no, screw you, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And my dad would, if you were my dad's son, he would literally go up and smack you in the head. I mean, sorry, gun. You respect the gun. You always respect. You treat every gun, as if it's loaded, it's chambered, it's ready to fire. That's a great rule. If you treat a gun like that all the time, every time, nobody gets hurt. And when you start goofing off with it and taking pictures and putting them online, like, "Ooh, look at me," well, no, you're an immature kid who was never raised properly, and you probably shouldn't have a gun.
Yeah. I mean, it's because they're I think Trump's got I think he's going to use these red flag laws as a way to target gang members and known felons. And you watch, because the Democrats, we all know the Democrats are going to be, no, we don't want those people on any kind of list, blacklist for, not being able to buy a firearm, or, or having to turn in their firearms or anything like that. No, we don't want that. Again, the thing that people have to do, and the best thing that people can do, is, because red flag laws are coming whether we want them to or not. They're coming. They're here. They're here already. They've been here.
I got one in my state right now. The red flag law, Nevada has red flag law right where I live. Right here.
And the best thing, yeah, I mean, the ones here in Florida, I don't know too much about the ones here in Florida, but what you want a red flag law is to have common sense due process. You don't want, and that includes anybody who makes a false claim is going to be prosecuted. That is part of that responsible legislation that you want to see passed in red flag laws and any future red flag laws that are going to be coming up. Because
I agree, because like in my state, we went blue, we went all the way blue, governor, assembly, state senate. I mean, 3 years ago, you could never got that law passed through. We had a Republican governor, Republican senate, Republican assembly. Could never get the law passed. Well, now it's here, and there it is. And whether it gets held up to be constitutional or not, I don't know. But in the meantime, the law should have some provision that if somebody makes a false claim to say, that your guns were taken away from you, then that person, now here's the deal, it probably would have to be intentionally false. You'd have to prove that the person intentionally made a false statement. Like somebody says, I'm crazy. It's like, oh, this guy's crazy. Well, everybody knows I'm not, but the cops are like, well, yeah, fuck Jogger, we don't like him, so yeah, let's just go over to his house and get his gun. I mean, I would hope that somebody gets prosecuted for that, because at the end of the day, I'd go in front of a judge and they go, yeah, you look fine, you can have your guns back. Well, I would hope somebody would get prosecuted in the meantime. I don't know. I mean, whether, and I don't know if there's a civil liability issue to it, whether I can sue somebody. I don't know. Who knows? But there should be some kind of penalty for making a false statement to have somebody. Because I mean, filing a false police report is a crime in of itself. It's a misdemeanor by itself. If it's a felony, then like a felony, making a false statement about a felony, I think that goes up to a felony if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. I really don't handle cases like that, to be honest with you. So it doesn't come my way, so I don't see them because they're kind of chicken shit little cases. But there should be some kind of penalty involved. There should be some kind of penalty involved if you know that you're just making a completely false statement about somebody, and the cops end up going to their house and taking their guns. Yeah, somebody should have to pay the price for that.
Yeah. I mean, because the extreme risk protection orders, is otherwise known as red flag laws, have. I mean, because any state that is red are going to have relaxed red flag laws, and any counties, because counties, I don't know how the counties are going to deal with the red flag laws on a local level. I don't know if they have to go through their state's assembly or if they have to go through the state's courts, to interpret, because
well, some sheriffs are refusing to enforce them.
Yes, that I have heard.
Yeah, that's happening in this state. Some sheriffs are saying, well, we're just not going to, it's our discretion. We have complete discretion to, if somebody calls the cops, say, hey, come over here, they don't have to come over if they don't want to. So they're saying, well, if somebody calls and says, hey, this guy's crazy, you need to come get his guns. They're like, well, maybe we're not, maybe we will, maybe we won't, So, you can't dictate to law enforcement who to arrest. I mean, it's always been, Supreme Court's said it's in their discretion to make those calls all day long. So you can't say if you get a call for this, you have to go arrest somebody. Now, you can make laws regarding prosecution, regarding you can't even force a prosecutor to prosecute a case. They have laws right now for like DUI or domestic battery that once a complaint is filed, they cannot plea it down, at least in this state. You cannot plea it down unless the prosecutor signs a statement under penalty of perjury or swears under oath under penalty of perjury that he cannot prove his case. That's the only way you can plea it down. So, but there's no law that says a prosecutor must prosecute. If somebody comes in and reports domestic battery, hey, my husband beat me up, and the prosecutor says, yeah, I don't buy it. Too many holes in the story. We're not going to prosecute. You can't pass a law that says they must prosecute. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could, but it'd probably be ruled unconstitutional, I guess.
What my advice to like conservative, pro Second Amendment channels, my advice to them would be, yes, follow. What they ought to do is report on stories where instances where red flag laws have been abused. Because we all know that these, like I know American Joe's probably going to be doing a lot of videos on them. Douglas Dakota. I mean, just to name a few channels that
Yeah, I mean,
cover.
there will be stories that where people are getting there will be stories where people are getting abused by no stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. Those stories will be happening, and I agree with you. You got to be strategic. You got to
Yes.
find, again, I had this conversation with American Joe when I was in Delaware when he called in. I said you got to find that for a lawsuit, you got to find that really good plaintiff. I told him, I was joking, it'd be someone like you or me, unfortunately. Someone who's normal, who's not crazy, who they take their guns, and then you go to court, and it's obvious you're not crazy, but for whatever reason, the judge says, "Oh, you're crazy," and they keep your guns, and then you file an action, you go to U.S. District Court, and work its way up. But you got to find a really good plaintiff. The guy can't be a wacko, because then it's too distracting for the Supreme Court or for the Court of Appeals or the U.S. District Court. The guy's like, well, yeah, but you're kind of nuts. You are kind of wacko. No, it's got to be someone normal, that they just abused it, selectively enforced it, like maybe the cops don't like you, the DA doesn't like you, the sheriff doesn't like you, the mayor, the county commissioners don't like you, some selective type of enforcement thing. But it's got to be a really good, plaintiff. Like I was saying on the Roe versus Wade, they were waiting around for years for Roe, because they needed that perfect plaintiff. Heller was a great plaintiff. The Heller case, the Scalia case, where Scalia ruled about the right to keep and bear arms applies to private possession of firearms. Heller was a good plaintiff. I mean, he had nothing in his background. He wasn't a nutcase. He wasn't a wacko. Just a regular guy. Just a straight all the way around. That's what you need. So you got to find the normal person who's not just a little bit crazy. You're not going to find a bunch of Facebook posts from him that are, talking like a nutcase. And that's the guy you got to focus on. So if you do a story about that, like here's Joe Smith, you got to make sure Joe Smith is not an asshole. Okay, Joe Smith had his guns taken away. Make sure Joe Smith's a regular guy. Doesn't have to be an educated guy. Doesn't have to be, a businessman. Just a normal guy, a regular family man. Works hard every day. Not on, there you go, not on welfare. Just a good, hardworking guy, good family man. Not posting stupid shit on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Just a good guy that you can point to him and say, see, if that could happen to him, it could happen to anybody. Not some guy who's nuts, like the guy, the Marine guy. Who was yelling threats at where was he, in Portland? Yeah, the Portland mayor, and they took him in. And now, okay, he even admitted I was acting pretty crazy. He took his CCW and he stapled the pages of it to his shoulder pads. People could see it, and he had a big knife, and there was something else he was doing, and he was yelling out all kinds of stupid shit. And then the VA took him in, and instead of just holding him for 72 hours, they actually held him for 20 days. So there must be, the VA normally kicks everybody out as soon as possible. So there must have been something wrong with this guy. So when he said, I have training on how to be dangerous, and I was acting kind of dangerous. That's not the kind of plaintiff you want. That's not the kind of guy you want to take the case up on and say, yeah, see, they did it to him. It was like, yeah, but look at him. He's kind of nuts. Well, yeah. You want to find a normal guy. He wasn't doing anything wrong, and they just came and took his guns.
Yeah, and that's where they need to. That's where they need to that would just be my advice to these pro Second Amendment channels. Look, if they're and they have every right to be worried about red flag laws being abused.
Yeah. Actually, they have reason to worry about red flag laws to begin with. I mean, I don't like red flag laws. I'm just stuck in a state where I now have one, but I don't like them. I don't like the pre-crime, like the Tom Cruise movie. We don't have three people floating in a little pond with a little ball rolling down, and Tom Cruise runs out there with his little, I don't know, jetpack, and they grab you and they stick you inside of this thing for the rest until you die. No, I don't like that concept.
Report,
I mean, Minority Report, right? Yeah, I don't like that concept. I mean, you haven't done anything wrong. And maybe you've never done anything wrong. It's just that people said, "Oh, he was yelling." I mean, where's the standard? Was he yelling loud? Was he acting crazy? What? I mean, what did he do? I mean, he hasn't done anything. I mean, but yeah, you're going to punish him by taking away a constitutionally protected right. It's almost like a slap suit. Where you try to get a gag order, in violation of the First Amendment. You say, okay, this guy is so crazy, we got to stop him from speaking. Well, those cases are tough because those are, First Amendment is constitutionally protected right, and the courts have said, well, if you're going to say this guy can't speak, it better be something really heavy because it's a hard test to meet. So I wish the Supreme Court would rule the same way when it comes to the Second Amendment. Okay, before you take away a constitutionally protected right, the right to keep and bear arms from the Second Amendment through Heller. you better have some really good fucking grounds, and it better be really, the balancing test better be really high in your favor. So hopefully the Supreme Court looks at one of these red flag laws. Again, we got to find the right guy to take up through the appeal process. It can't be it got to be someone like Heller or someone like Roe you can take up, and at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, that's fucked up, and we're going to say, yeah, these laws are unconstitutional. Because when you get that ruling, you get one ruling, and if it goes against you, you're fucked. And if you get the right ruling, you're good, and then all these laws can go away in the whole country, and I'll be very happy.
What the other thing I would suggest to content like pro Second Amendment channels is, study the red flag laws and point out the faults within those red flag laws. I mean, make a video about it. Make a video about it. Get people to share it. And then people can hopefully contact their representatives and say, complain about it. Complain about it. Say, hey, look, please uphold such and such, or don't vote on that.
Well, unfortunately, like my state, these representatives here are so blue that they're not going to. It's going to take court action, unfortunately. And again, you just gotta find the right plaintiff, got to find the right case.
Yeah.
That's what's got to have to happen. So I mean, I'm sure everybody around the country is looking for the right plaintiff, the right case to take up. Which is we haven't found. Unfortunately, we haven't found them yet. And here's part of the problem. So a lot of these guys are nuts. So I mean, well, actually, they are. So those out there. But yeah, do you know a good plaintiff out there?
Well, no, but I was going to suggest one good starting thing. One good plaintiff to start with is, why is it that Democrats don't want to put red flag laws? Put criminals under the red flag law list as people who need to have their guns taken away.
I totally agree. I think when that bill gets to the Senate's going to have the same argument. It's like, wait a second, you were given the chance to amend this down at the House level. The Senate may even amend it to include that, and then shoot it back to the House and say, well, we're not signing shit unless you include this in there. Unless you say anybody in the gang member database is on a red flag list. I don't know. Or you know what? I mean, since again, back to my original headline. Thank you, James Francis O'Rourke. Okay, he just fucked up whatever chances I think the Democrats had for getting any kind of gun legislation through right now, because he spilled the beans. He was desperate to get votes, and he just blew it for all the liberals. Because Trump even said, Trump, well, I'm not sure how sincere Trump was, because Trump was looking for a way out, right? Trump was looking for a way to get the fuck away from this. He didn't want to pass anything, and McConnell was saying, well, we're waiting on the president. Well, McConnell doesn't have to wait for the president. He's the fucking Senate Majority Leader. He can write a bill and put it on the floor of his own Senate. He said, well, we're waiting for the president. And everybody's like, God, hopefully something happens to give us a way out. And here comes Beto O'Rourke to the rescue. Yay, he come riding in on his white horse saying, damn right we're going to take your AR-15s. Damn right we're taking them. I mean, that was perfect. I mean, Trump administration must have been like, whoa, that's excellent. So then Trump he tweets out, he goes, oh, thanks, Beto. You killed any chance for getting a bipartisan support on this, and now everybody thinks the Dems just want to take your guns. And there was no answer. And then Cicilline, the guy that was at Lewandowski's hearing, the liberal that, if you looked at, he was the guy up to the left from Rhode Island, real leftist. He was pissed. He was pissed at Beto. He's like, whoa. And then another guy, what's his name? From Maryland. I'm going to screw his name up. I want to say Chris Coons, maybe, senator from Maryland. And he was pissed. He's like, oh, he just killed it. He just killed it for us. He's like, oh, thanks. I mean, Beto didn't, like I was saying, if Beto ever wants to run for Senate in Texas and he goes for the, DCCC, Senate, Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee or whatever the fuck is, whatever the fuck it's called. If he ever goes to them for money, he might as well forget it. They're not going to give him a dime. If he tries to run for federal office, he's not going to get a dime from anybody, because he just screwed this whole gun control thing up for everybody. So hopefully it stays screwed up, because I'd like to see it not go through.
Yeah. Well, Soros. It even goes to show you that these globalists, they don't even have control of their own puppets. Their puppets are just, saying whatever. They probably, this is just a guess, but they probably don't even want the squad being as vocal as they are. Given right now everything that's on the line, and given for them, they can't even control their own puppets.
Well, no.
So it's
the squad's been pretty quiet lately. Except for Presley just came out with a statement saying they should impeach Kavanaugh. I mean, but that's the first I heard from. Well, Elon Omar was saying something stupid, but I mean, they as a group they haven't said anything collectively. But I mean, Presley came out with a knee-jerk reaction on the Kavanaugh thing, and of course, that kind of you haven't really heard much about that lately. That kind of died on the vine by itself because the New York Times fucked up the reporting of it. But you know, yeah, I mean, I think everybody said to them, "Hey, look, I think what happened was." Probably some of the candidates went to them and said, "Hey, you need to keep your mouth shut. Okay, you're going to fuck this whole thing up for us. Trump's trying to paint you as us."
Yeah.
And they probably said, "Yeah, good." No. They said, "No. We got to get him out of office. That's their big goal." And then you know these people are just screwing the whole thing up for everybody. So yeah, not good for not good for the Democrats that these people are out in front because these people are nutcases. I did a video on that. What was that video I did? Oh, I think I'm on the wrong computer. But yeah, I posted a video. Did you see that video that the Trump War Room did on the squad? Did you ever see that one?
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see.
You know, Carl, while you're looking for that, one thing
ahead.
I would like to, you know, one thing. I mean, just while you're looking for that, one thing I wish that, you know, we all know that the NRA has problems. Okay, they have got to get their stuff together. Okay, but when we have content creators saying things, well, NRA is this, and I don't support the NRA, yada yada. You know, I want to ask them this question: who else? Okay, besides, we all know Gun Owners of America is a good organization, but they don't have the influence that the NRA does. And every time these you know, these content creators say we're not going to support the NRA, don't donate to them, yada yada, they don't help the cause.
No.
I mean, yes,
they're splitting us up.
They don't.
They're splitting us up.
And they have got to stop this. I mean, I've seen content. I'm not going to mention content creators' names out of respect for them because I respect their channels, but they have got to stop blasting the NRA for, you know, for not doing anything. You know, the NRA, yes, they have some internal problems. They need to get rid of Wayne LaPierre. I wish they would. You know, the guy who thinks he can use NRA donations to buy a new suit instead of his own, net worth. You know, I understand their frustration with that, but you know, the NRA is in a huge fight all around this country. They are fighting legislation. You give $100 to the NRA has already spent it. You know, anything you give to the NRA is already spent, and you know we need them. We need them, and people have got to stop bashing the NRA. That is the one thing that I get so sick of these so-called pro-Second Amendment channels. You know,
well, they say they're saying they're not doing enough, but you know, I mean, you know, no, I mean, well, exactly. Who else is out there doing anything? You know,
yeah,
I
mean, Gun Owners of America's. You know, Gun Owners of America is a good group, but they're a 501(c)(3), and if these Second Amendment channels understood that the 501(c)(3), they can't really get involved in politics. They're not supposed to donate to political candidates. They can't really even endorse from what I understand, they can't even endorse a pro-gun candidate. I mean, they can. I guess they can. How do I say? I guess they can, you know, give him a good report card on his or her stance on gun, you know, whether or not they're good with gun legislation or if they're opposing it, you know, like, but the NRA is our first line of defense for the Second Amendment. And
right.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but content creators, please stop bashing the NRA. You know, it does not help the situation. Sorry, Carl, that was a rant, I know.
No. Yeah.
I mean,
Nope, I can't find it. But anyway, too bad. Shit. No.
But you know, one other thing another thing I wish content creators would do, but they won't do it. They won't do it. You know, is, you know, yeah, people could say I could do it myself. You know, if I had time, yeah, I would. But you know, but anyway, what I was saying was, you know, if they would focus some on if they would try and bring awareness to the civil war that is taking place in the Democrat Party right now. And the reason why I say that is because if some people could just show that some of these moderate Democrats are better than the progressive Democrats, you know, maybe prop them up a little bit, you know, help them to help the the moderate Democrats against the progressives. You know, there are a lot of moderate Democrats who don't like the progressive base, and I think we have a common enemy with that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the thing that disgusts me with these hardcore conservatives that, well, all Democrats are this and that. Well, answer me, how come the moderates are being purged from the party? They can't answer it because they either don't want to or they don't have an answer, you know?
Right.
And again, yeah, the blue dog Democrats they're kind of bad news, but I'd take them over the progressives any day of the week. It's always about the lesser of two evils. There is no perfect, you know, halo over the head, I'm an angel politician. There's only the lesser of two evils. You know,
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we're in a you know, a democratic republic, and we're in a two-party system, and you know, you got to go with what you got, and you know, Trump is. I mean, look, it's not even close. Trump is like what 100 times better than the best Democrat out there.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't get everything. Maybe you don't get everything you want from him, and maybe you do a protest vote. You stay at home, and then so what does that mean? After 4 years of shit, maybe 8 years, what we're going to come back and do what? I mean, what are we going to do in 4 years or 8 years? What's going to happen then? No, I mean, look, we're on a roll right now. We got to keep the roll going. And if he doesn't give, you know, I mean, yeah, I'll see people like, oh, I don't trust him, or I'm not sure. I mean, I 86 some guy the other night because he said something stupid about Trump. You know, I'm not going to repeat it because then it makes no sense why I 86 him. You know, it's like I might as well just put his comment up. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Later, you know, and he started off kind of sane, and then he ended up not so sane. So, I mean, I'm like, well, I mean, what's your choice? What's your alternative? Warren, Sanders, Harris. Okay, yeah, pick one.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do for you? And what are they going to do for America?
Yeah.
Besides bankrupt it.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, tell you what, it's a little after midnight my time. Actually.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's cool. But anyway, yes. Hold on a sec, and let me see here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end the live stream for tonight. So this is Carl for Carl's Opinion. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat. I want to thank the great Dirtbag for appearing on the VMix video phone call. Thank you so much, Mr. Dirtbag. And I want to thank everybody who's been viewing us, and everybody will be viewing us later. Thanks so much. Have a great night. And Mr. Dirtbag, if you'd like to say good night.
Good night, everybody, and stay strong. And please try to, you know, have that conversation with people. You know, I mean, try not to, you know, just, you know, find ways to talk to people and try and, you know, educate them on the values of a free market society, about a constitutional republic, you know, even have those conversations about God if you have to, you know. I mean, just do what you can, you know. I mean, I have the conversations with people every day, you know, just hoping I can maybe change one or two minds, you know. But hopefully oh, you're welcome, Solex. You know, but hopefully, you know, I think, you know, there's hope, but we got to keep, you know, that hope going, you know, and we have to bring awareness to people. You know, we got to help people become aware of why we are a great country, you know.
I would agree with that. All right, Mr. Dirtbag, thanks so much, and have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. All right, bye.